and the world is what we long to see. Yet true love is my desire. Yet true love is my desire. The sun, it shines on another day. Snow, it freezes us to the bone. Harsh silence is the cold price I pay. My words are for thine ears alone. My words are for thine ears alone. Sing ye worthy praise, while life is sweet on the vine. Full our glasses raised, hail as heroes divine, slavers of men, monsters felled by our might, dragons slain in their den, whisk the weak from their plight. No gold, my jewels, can I grant to thee? No, Lord, am I by right, but at journey's end I'll sing a melody to win your sweetheart by tonight, to win your sweetheart by tonight. Seek me worthy praise, while life is sweet on the vine. Full our glasses raised, began with the suicide of Charles Blackwell, just days after his 55th birthday. Then the Rhineswan family massacre. 3 generations painfully passing from this world, crying the same crimson tears Blackwell had.
I sit alone on the edge of
5 members of the prominent Rhineswan family were found dead.
After that, the media finally gave their murderer a name. The Red Crier Killer.
Memento mori. Remember you will die.
Investigators believe the killer may be the same individual the media has dubbed the Red Crier.
Memento mori. Remember you will die. I know it's droll to sell my soul. I wanted to protect them though, but I couldn't even play my role. Now vengeance is my only goal. Memento mori. Too late for sorry. Now goodbye. Breath goes dry. I will cry when I remember you will die.
And good morning, Best Chat. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to some delicious, malicious morning nonsense chat. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to another Wednesday, a White Pill Wednesday. I think it might be White Pill Wednesday. I got a lot of stuff today, chat. Got a lot of stuff lined up. Got a lot of interesting things to talk about. I'm not sure we'll get to them all, but there's quite a few. There's quite a few things I have ready to go. Well, check it out. Gunblade Knight says, good morning, LD and Beshet. Praise be to Space King. Hello to you, Gunblade Knight. Welcome, welcome. Carly P says, good morning, LD and Beshet. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Bomb says, good morning, folks. 2 types of world builders. Those who meticulously plan things out, putting things together piece by piece, and those who go, fuck it. We call I'm personally part of the former. And some people kind of just dive in. Some people just dive in, like, hey, you know what? I have the story. I'll just figure out the world building part later. Gorilla Wars says, good morning, everyone. Don't forget to get your workouts in today. Absolutely, absolutely. Carly Ketcher says, good morning, Dave and Best Chat. Rumble Chat. It's White Pill Wednesday. Come join us on the green tube. Hello to Carly Ketcher from Rumble. To Demigod says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Remember to stay hydrated and stand against the evil. Saw the He-Man movie. It's an 8 out of 10. Wow, it's pretty good. Pretty good then. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Like, it's just really good fun. It was like Thor Ragnarok as a rock opera. That sounds awesome. I mean, rock opera is definitely like something that goes well with He-Man, I think. Oddly enough, so does like Fan of the Opera. But He-Man definitely got a Castle Grayskull popcorn buckets. That one looked pretty cool, actually. That one looked pretty awesome. Much better than the Lobo popcorn bucket, which is basically just a toy with a tiny little hole in the toy for popcorn, and they technically call it a popcorn bucket. Carl Tokaru says, hi all. Busy morning, lots to do, so little time. Hello to Kara, Tolkien Nerd. Welcome. Hope it's not too bad, but welcome to the chat. Hope we can entertain well enough. To Libra Wolf, get your coffee. Tank Ferret says, good morning. Good morning to you all, you magnificent bastards and bastettes. Hello to you, Tank Ferret. Carly Ketchel from the YouTube this time. One of Lit Def and Best Chat. It's another White Pill Wednesday. But the temps are reaching close to 90. Not fun. Yeah, it's getting pretty hot out there. Jeremy Tronic says, morning all. What? No. I think we're done with that cringe. I think we're done. I mean, it's just when the same cringe over and over. It's just I mean, where else do you go? It's built like at one point you kind of know it's built up a false premise. It's all about it's racist, it's sexist. It's built by a guy who's built by an old white man, like that old argument, because it's written by an old white man. It can't possibly be pertinent to today. We can only read things that are made by modern day, current, soy boyed up white men, I guess. Very strange. Feels very bitter. A lot of bitterness in there. Like Like, I failed with this thing, so therefore it's actually a lie. Because if I can't do it, then it's all a lie. It can't be that I was doing it wrong or whatever. It can't possibly be that. It has to be, am I wrong? No, the world is wrong. Call of Vampire Gods is the real issue. The race swap is they're lazier. You're literally going, I know you want representation, but I don't feel like making a new character, so I'll just change this character black. Essentially how it goes, yeah. I mean, they can barely write the characters that already exist. Right? A lot of these modern day writers, it seems, are either unable to or unwilling to even ride a bicycle with training wheels. They can't do it. They much rather fall down and scrape their knee and get the sympathy points than ride the bike well. That's kind of what's going on with these things. They have training wheels, which I equate to you're getting an IP with already established, not only established audience, but already established characterizations. Like, it's way easier to take on a story that already has established characters. So you know, like taking on Batman, for example, or Superman. Like, you know how they act. They're taking on IPs that already have this and still messing up. Still not getting it right. It's like refusing to get it right, in fact. That they want to change and give their own refreshing take on these things. Now, of course, we talked about the whole thing of they want to create, but they're only allowed to really create with some inside someone else's sandbox, you know, so they might feel a little resentful. Like, yeah, I have the reins to Star Wars or Star Trek, but I can't, and I'm not allowed to do anything on my own. I want to create something new and fresh in my own IP, but they're not going to take a chance on this stuff. And it makes sense because so far we've seen a lot of people complain about these editors and things like that. Oh, they're not letting you, send a like the door monster thing. Like, you have to go to a pitch meeting and they're expecting the hero's journey. I'm pretty sure that they're not. I'm not sure. I don't. If I had to guess, it's not a rigid qualification. It's just kind of like, okay, go along the hero's journey and tell me what the hero's journey is of this story. And the basic reason for that is they want a story. They want something they can sell. All right. A guy is sitting alone and thinking about, doing like a Ulysses James Joyce thing about just thinking about stuff or contemplating things in in flowery language is not really a story. They want a story. Right, it's kind of like how the Patrick Rothfuss would get people coming in and giving him all kinds of details about the world, but no story. All right, a lot of these modern day writers want to wax philosophical in their books and complain about things, but there's no story. There's no development. There's no journey that's being taken. They want a journey. They want something to sell the audiences. Or the audiences aren't really going to be interested in you in your like live journal. And some people and a lot of these writers seem to present that very it's not really uncommon. It's not really like, oh, it's a woke thing or anything. It's kind of like a fledgling writer thing, because I remember going through this myself when I was just starting out. I remember a lot of writers in my classroom classes and stuff like that going through this when they're starting out. It's you have so much to say philosophically or think you do intellectually, philosophically, things like that. You're just bursting to yell at people, hey, this is how it really is. But people don't really want to listen to you. I mean, first of all, they don't want to listen in the first place. Second of all, you might not even be worth listening to in the first place. And because, I mean, this attitude really comes in when you are young and immature. It's like, I know everything and you don't know anything. Listen to me. So your goal as a writer is to get people to listen to you through story. If you could do that, you might be worth listening to. If you can get people to listen to your story, it might be worth listening to. That's how it usually goes. But it just seems to me that all the resentment stems from their inability to create at all. They just want to I think writing is waxing philosophical for like 100 pages. It's pretty insane. But yeah, it all comes down to this laziness. And very, very, very lazy. They don't really want to make new characters. They kind of want to take old characters and then reforge them in their own image sometimes. If they want to make their own stuff, it's just unsellable. It's unsellable swill. That's kind of what happens. And it makes sense because if you look at a lot of amateur writers, a lot of writers that come out in the first place, it's like a lot of them are not really worth reading. A lot of them are just kind of like this really self-absorbed works. They're very focused on their own thoughts, and they think themselves completely 100% right. It's kind of why I keep saying that writing a story, writing anything, it requires a bit of humility. right? You have pride enough and confidence enough to put this work in front of the people, but you need humility enough to know that these people are smart too. Like your readers are also people of intelligence, and that's kind of what you have to keep in mind as well. All right, you shouldn't be lecturing. In other words, to put it simply, you shouldn't be lecturing as if you are a professor giving out knowledge that everyone needs to know. You should be giving a case, like more like a lawyer. It's kind of how it is. When you're a writer, you're more like a lawyer, or should be. Like, that you respect your audience. That it's not all about you. You might not always be right, but here is your perspective. Here is your argument, essentially, your view of some things. Is this, and that's kind of what you need to put forward. It's a little less I know better than you, and more like, okay, here's my side and here's my story. Here's like my perspective on the story. But yeah, a lot of laziness, a lot of this. I want the fame without the work. Right? We talked about the magic button. I just pull it down to the magic button theory, right? Where we artists want that one. Some artists want to find that one little thing that if I could just hear these words or learn this technique, I can go from drawing stick figures to being a brilliant writer or being a brilliant artist. Same thing with writers. They all think that if I just do the hero's journey, I'm gonna become this. I'll be known as this brilliant writer, right? My story's gonna be great. Like, no, it requires work still. But some of these people they don't want to do the work. They just want the fame and the glory. So they look for that magic button, right? I don't want to do the work. I just want to be able to do XYZ thing. So they look for that magic button. And for writers, some writers, the hero's journey is that magic button, or is seemed or viewed as the magic button. And then when it turns out to not be the magic button that they were hoping it would be, they turn against the hero's journey and get angry at it. Like, oh, it's fake. It's not real. It's all a lie. Like, why? Why is it like? Because your story didn't work out, even though you used it. So like decades of people kind of just adhering to the hero's journey, were like just loving it, knowing it works, having several examples of how the hero's journey works, and has brought several stories to fame and glory and legendary status. No, you're right. You're the one who has seen the truth, and everyone is just deluded. Everyone just thinks the hero's journey is great, and you're the one person who saw it for what it was. It was a great delusion. Like, right, sure. Why is it? Oh, because I couldn't succeed with it. That's what I thought. Such Falcon, hello to you. Good morning. Hello to good morning, and God bless. Hello to you, LD and Bez Chat. Always love lore deep dives of interesting worlds like Warhammer 40k, SCP Foundation, etc. It's so fascinating. Yeah, the SCP Foundation, absolutely. That's a pretty cool stuff. Especially because it was kind of like made by the same way King Arthur was, like a mass fantasy thing, a mass fantasy writing. A lot of people kind of contributed to the lore of the SCP Foundation. Like, a lot of people contributed to the lore of the King Arthur stuff. It's so fascinating. Modern slop cannot compared to them. They really can't. Let's see, chat. Gemini, hello to you. Good morning. Let's see here. Good morning, LD and Best Chat. Good morning to you, Gemini. Good morning. Lady Festival says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Would world building okay? Only has two types. I thought it was or sliding scale. One end is the architectural engineering, and the other one is potluck. Buffet cherry picker. Yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Let's see. Book Column, good morning to you. Book Column, hello to you. Tank Ferret, good morning. Ace of Swords, Silas Archer, hey, what's up? Hello to you, Ace of Swords, Silas Watcher, good morning. Let's see. Kai Rocket says, Kai the Vampire God says, and call it a day. And people applaud this laziness. Mind you, the same people can say actual black characters isn't black. Yes, it's also true. They're not black enough because they're not stereotypical enough. Anti-racist crew usually hates your black character because they're not stereotypically black enough. It's been really funny to see that go down, but yeah, it's true. Siege Garden says, hey, LD and Best Chat. Good morning. Let's see. Limpus says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Hello to you, Limpiskit. Good morning to you. Dr. Crow says, good morning, LD. I'm digging in my folder of bad ideas for this anthology, and I found the gem of a hero being stopping a weeb alien and turning a bunch of nerds into cat girls. Seems dumb enough to work. I think that could work. Yeah, add that in there. See what happens. and see. Shaman Tronic says never name the crazed serial killer. It just encourages them to copycat. Plus, someone trying to frame the serial killer is for their own murder. And see. Yeah, that's kind of they kind of become they do that. A lot of shows or movies, they say that oh yeah, we told the public certain details, but they keep some details to themselves so that if someone comes in, like there's another murder that's kind of like this one serial killer or whatever, they'll know specifics about it so that oh, this is a copycat. They'll know it's a copycat because the copycat just read the news and decided to do a copycat killing, and so they won't do all the stuff because they don't know all the stuff. But if it does match it one for one, then we know this is not a copycat. I do the same. I actually have that in Lady Midnight, this first story I'm working on. There is she like looks at the bodies of this current killing. Is like, yep, this is definitely the Red Crier killer. It's not a copycat or anything. And see, Chad, especially because no one knows how the Red Crier killer kills people. Like no one knows the formula of which the deaths occur. No one. And that's part of the big mystery. It's a Sutorinja says, I am both types of world builder. Well, check it out. Up Dum Dum says, you're not going to white pill me this Wednesday. We'll see. Tank Ferret says, I do so story first, then build the world to validate the story. Usually, sometimes I eat pizza press first. But I usually do that too. I usually kind of make a story and then kind of flesh out the world through the story. You know, I kind of invent the stuff that I need to be invented throughout while I make the story. But with Lady Midnight, it was a very interesting challenge because I had to have the story, I had to have the world building first, so that the mystery would make sense on a deeper level. So I had to build like the world and the rules of the world so that the mystery makes sense, because it's not just a regular mystery; it's a supernatural, occult detective mystery. So that was a big challenge. It took a while to get this all down, especially when I decided to take the step. I was kind of like being cautious of, like, do I really want to go this direction? So if I take this direction, there's no going back. And that was the fork in the road I'm talking about. Is okay, I know what kind of story I want this to be, which is I want it to be like her fighting like supernatural stuff and everything. But one path is the path of like Hellblazer, right? It's pretty cool, but it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's just mainly focused on you fight and the main character fighting bad guys, which is essentially more superhero-esque, more like about the action. Or do I want to go the route that is a lot tougher, but one I really am going to enjoy? It's going to be more about everything I love put together in one single story, which is actual detective story, like Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot, that sort of thing. But to do that, the plot needs to be tight. There needs to be rules. There needs to be logic underneath, so that we can go, oh, that makes sense. This happens because of this, because of that. That makes sense. So I need like a working society. I need a bunch of stuff on the groundwork just to get this to function. But I've done the work. I've done all that stuff. I built up everything from scratch, essentially. The history, the world, how magic works, how different kinds of powers intermingle with each other. So I did all of this world building this so I can have the world of Lady Midnight so the occult detective stuff can make sense. It's not just about, oh, there's magical stuff and I just make stuff up and she wins. I want it to be like a true detective story, and by what I mean by that is I kind of want the audience to follow along and try to solve the case alongside the detective. In order for that to be the case, there has to be knowledge and logic that the audience can work off of too. And so that's kind of where a lot of work went into, as well as making the story as tight as possible. Let's see. Carlos Token says let's see. Lady Facet says it's afternoon here. I get to try to do some work in the morning. Well, that's pretty good. Like I finished the Batman DC story this morning. That's pretty cool. Well done. Kirk Eclipse says, "Hail LD, hello to Kirk Eclipse. Good morning. Showdown says, "Good morning." And on this Vanilla Chai Day, very cool. Let's see. Megathon says, I hope I'm not a Loreslop world builder. We'll check it out. Let's see. Megalithon, thanks for the 14 month supports. I'm helping. Doofy salute. Hello to Tank Ferret. Appreciate it. Let's see, chat. Greetings, Earthlings. Visitor 22. Welcome, Visitor 22. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello to you, Alex Halo. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And see, chat. What's this? All right, Rillery says, LD, your past 2 live streams were delightful. Watching you stew and glib hail gender affirming insults was a treat. Fantastic. Glad you enjoyed. Norman says, did some people complain about the moralizing of Aesop's fables? Yeah, it's one of the things I think that people complained about. Yeah. So at least today. A lot of the modern day mindset is that we're smarter than the guys of the past. Right. And they get on our cases for liking things in the past. Like, oh, the past is great. Like, yeah, the past shows you a lot. Right. It shows you a lot of information. Do not discount the past because it's old. Norman looks at the fire, does your jet? Yes. And see, the hero's journey is, in fact, not Mad Libs. It isn't. It's a journey, yeah. It's a journey that kind of, it covers like every story. But the reality of the situation is it's not plug and play. Like, you don't just plug in the parts and then you have a good story. It's just a natural way we write stories anyway. Joseph Campbell kind of just gave it a vision, gave it form, and gave it reason. He broke down why we do this and why we need these things to happen. Like, we need the character to begin. The character will always begin, no matter what story you have. Like, I could keep going with John Wick because I like John Wick, but the thing is, we know, like, we see John Wick 1, right? He's already a badass assassin. He's a legend already in the underworld, but we know he had to have a beginning, right? Because the hero's journey is in effect still. We know by merit of the hero's journey, we know he has to have a beginning where he was not a badass, legendary assassin, like where he began somewhere, and they knew this. So what happens? We find out where he came from, right? He came from the Ruska Roma. He was an orphan adopted into the Ruska Roma, and we know, like this, we saw where he trained and everything. So we know there's always a beginning. We know that he underwent a world of trials. We know there's a mentor out there that we haven't really met, I don't think, but there is a mentor out there that helped teach John Wick, and Winston was one of them. Winston was definitely one of them. Some people kind of speculate that Winston is John Wick's like father-in-law or something, which I guess could make sense, but I don't think so. I think they're just friends. But by merit of the hero's journey, he had to have gone through a big ordeal, right? And what happens? What's the ordeal? Right? What's the ordeal? Did he go through a big ordeal? Let me think. Oh yes, it's called the impossible task. The impossible task got him free from the table, right? And what happened afterward, chat? What happened after he did the impossible task? He went back to the ordinary world and lived an ordinary life, right? He got to marry his wife. He got to escape the underworld, and he went back to an ordinary life. It's all there. So as much as they like to wave off the hero's journey, discount it, say that, oh, it's not real, it's there, and it'll always be there, whether they like it or not. It's the Ace of Swords, Silas Archer says, as I'm writing right now, what I know I gotta do is terrible stuff, or have terrible surrounding the main character that he has no as a push through. I was told that's a good way to do it. Yes. As Neil Gaiman says, I know that killing this unicorn is going to make you sad, but I have to do it. I'm going to kill that unicorn, and I'm going to break your heart. Let's see. Respin 7 says, good morning. Oh, hello to you, Respin 7. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Suturinja says, fun world building exercise is finding notes from when you were like 13 and making the dumb shit you want to actually work. There's an artist who did that kind of, but then with their own work, I think they had a project of like taking in kids' drawings and then making them real, like making them redoing them with logic and good art. It came up with some horror shows. Insane. Dr. E. Ryan the Force says, good morning, LD. Hello to Dr. E. Ryan the Force and Best Chat. I just finished a night shift in the ER department. Also, a new Persona game. Yeah, I heard they remade it. Can't wait for all the political discourse. Yeah, it's already happening. It's already happening. All right, chat. All right. The Carter just says, one story I started as a classmate a class system based on color. Red is emergency service, etc. That's a good way to do it because color coding is really powerful. It's very primal. Everyone joins a color based on their aptitude. It's very primal and it's immediate. Like you could like this. It happened. It worked in Star Trek. Like in TNG Star Trek, you can look at a guy's he had red uniform, commanding officer. He's in command unit or whatever. Blue, sciences, medical, etc. Yellow, he's probably a security guard, something like that. Very nice. Says, good morning, Literature and Best Chat. Are these videos helpful for world building? Hope so. We'll see. Dave always says, Wick completed his journey by the end of the first movie. Should have been, yeah. So it did, I think, but it became really popular. So, and I do like the other movies too. But yeah, he was already he began as a master of his craft. And his big ordeal was the impossible task. Like the people who wrote John Wick knew about the hero's journey, obviously. Let's see. Take versus John Wick is a great example. It not having to start with the origin story. Yeah, you don't get the origin story really for Wick until 3. You just see how legendary he is, right? And we still don't get all of his origin story. Like we don't know everything about him. We just know like certain bits. Wolverine 2, they never should have revealed his true origins. Yeah, sometimes a guy is cool being mysterious. Kind of like we didn't really want a Joker movie in the first place because we didn't really want to see like the mystery behind the Joker is what makes him fascinating. You don't know who he is or where he came from. It could be one story now or one story later. It could be different because he's insane. Let's see. Alessandra Deslavo says, I think many people today don't understand the difference between a moral story and a moralistic story. That is true. A former demonstrates moral values through this character's actions, while the later soapboxes. You don't want a soapbox. You don't want to get involved in a soapbox and lecture people. You want to show the character being moral, being a hero, or defying the morality and paying the price. Very basic stuff. That's kind of the basic level that people want to see. Bad guy does bad guy thing, gets punished for it. Even good guy does bad thing, gets punished. Like Aang had this in Avatar, where he's like trying to learn fire, remember? And he's like, I don't want to do this. This is boring. I don't want to do this like simple exercise. This is boring. I want to play around with fire because it's cool. And his arrogance leads to burning Katara's hands, and by accident. So good guy does wrong thing, gets punished for it. If it hadn't been for the fact that Katara was like this legendary healer, all of a sudden, then he might have lost Sokka and Katara, and the whole world might be doomed to Fire Nation tyranny forever because it would have been like Aang is too sad to continue, or whatever. So it's we want to see bad actions punished and good actions rewarded. And what's on the hero's journey? After the hero undergoes his ordeal, the reward, right? He gets a reward because good actions should be rewarded, as opposed to that's why today a lot of some stories today feel so empty because they insist that a good guy should do good things without reward, which sounds good, it sounds right, but on a moralistic level, they need to be rewarded, right? He might not be going, I need $50 to do this action. I want to save your life. Well, it's $50 or whatever. They might not be even seeking anything, but we do want to instill in the story that fate will reward you, that good deeds are always rewarded in some way, because it's true. Being a good person, doing good deeds might not be immediately beneficial, but they will be beneficial down the line. And so that's kind of what we want to have in stories. Even if the character is not seeking reward or anything, something good should happen to them because they went through all this, because they did the right thing. But a lot of modern stories don't really want that. Like, okay, why should he get rewarded? He's just doing his job. That's why it sounds right, but also feels wrong, right? He shouldn't get rewarded. He shouldn't ask for reward. He should just do the right thing for sake of doing the right thing. Now, it sounds right, but it comes from that modern day Karen perspective of why should he be rewarded? He's just doing his job. Right? It's kind of like the waiter, like a waiter is waiting on you. Like, why should I thank him? He's just doing his job. It comes from that idea, that perspective. So this is why it sounds right, because it sounds very noble and selfless, but it feels wrong. It's a great nice. I remember YouTube named the box office artist had his children drawings and made them into here. Maybe that was it. I think Jez did the same thing. I do know some people did that. At least one person did that. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Serial Liver Drab says, how does it feel when you finish your first draft? Pretty good. How do you look and achieve your second draft? You said I would recommend setting aside for a little bit, then reading it over and going, okay, well, this doesn't really work, does it? Even my last draft, Lady Midnight, I had to go like, oh, I had to take a step back and go, right. There's some things in the story that are relics from a previous draft, and I have to cut them because I'm forcing them to make sense of the story when they really shouldn't. And doing that really had to make me overhaul a lot of stuff because I forced them to make sense when I shouldn't have had. And they were integrated in the story pretty tightly. So I kind of ripped them out of the story, but left like big giant holes in the story. So I had to go back and repair everything. And see here. 1 second here, chat. There we go. See, Mercia says, yeah, I was talking about the other day with a friend. There is no paying it forward and mutual charity when people assume goodwill is owed to them. Yeah, it's kind of why it's what happens when there is no payment, when you just give things away. Like that we sometimes we've been told that pure altruism, that a hero should ask for nothing in return. But what happens is the modern day, actually. Right, there's a big attitude towards superheroes, for example, where everyone chastises. This whole attitude about superheroes, where the superhero will save 100 people, but let the last one die. Something like that. And suddenly it's like, oh, it's your fault. You failed. You should no longer be a superhero. It's kind of like the whole anti-superhero thing from the public and stuff, where because the superhero will not save 100% of the people and win 100% of the time and do everything perfectly, they should stop. And so the superhero gets more grief than the villains do. But that's the thing. A superhero, they kind of people used to be grateful to superheroes, like, oh, thank you for saving my life, that's awesome. And they used to not mention the fact that maybe you got hurt in the process or anything like that. But it was like the whole idea is, because the hero is not perfect or didn't save you in the right way, I'm going to sue you. You shouldn't be around. You should be gone. I'm better off. We're all better off without superheroes. It'd be way better if we had no heroes and just a bunch of villains running around, right? That's kind of the idea. But the thing is, if there's no charge for something, it will foster entitlement. So if people's like saying, oh, this guy charging for his autograph, so what? Well, if you don't, they're gonna be entitled to it, right? It's gonna become worthless. It's gonna become meaningless. So then everyone gets to have an autograph. Everyone should have an autograph. If I didn't get an autograph, I feel robbed, right? It becomes entitlement. So this is kind of why it's important to charge, even though some artists are like, I love it. I don't want to charge anyone. I just kind of want people to get my art out there. No, it might be weird. It might feel greedy, especially if all these artists today are like commies or whatever. But you need to charge. You need to do something, charge something, ask for something in return. Because a pure altruism where you just do these great works for nothing it fosters a toxic mentality in other people. It kind of does, oddly enough. So there needs to be something in return, like a little bit. You don't have to be much, but there has to be something in the mind of, I'm not doing this for free. No one, you don't just get all of this for nothing, right? And so superheroes have been saving people's lives and stuff for free. And while it began with gratitude, after over time, it became what we have now. A lot of people saying that, oh, this superhero didn't do everything perfectly, so therefore he's too dangerous to keep around. We're owed better superheroes. And this attitude, by the way, is what Dr. Alpha is ultimately about. And if we get Lady Midnight funded, I'll have some extra funds just to jumpstart Deadman's Alibi Part 2. and hopefully part 3. If part 2 succeeds, I can get part 3 underway. And I think you're going to really like the conclusion of Dead Man's Lullaby. I've had this ready for years, I think, or at least a year or so, whenever I wrote it. The ending, I think you'll like. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to reveal so much, but mainly what I'm going to reveal is his ultimate motivation behind everything, and some truths, some revelations, some twists, some turns. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to link back to Miracle Child eventually. It's going to link back to one of the biggest twists in Miracle Child, and it's all going to make sense. But I think you'll like it. But if we can get Lady Midnight jump started, if we get that funded, I'll be able to get repaid for the money that I sank into it to get started in the first place, and I can use that money to jumpstart Dead Man's Lullaby Part 2. So if we could just get this funded, we'll be back in business. Norman Man 5 says, you bought me the wrong toilet paper, Superman. You're utterly the worst. Brainiac should have won. It's kind of what happens. There's a Superman story where he kind of comes back from space or something, I think, and he lands, and this lady is like, Superman, you let my husband die. I think he was like fighting some evil guys in space, and turns out there's a woman with her husband, and her husband had like this surgery or this cancer or something like that no one could really get to. But if Superman used his super laser vision and bounced his vision this right, he would have been able to save her husband, I guess. And it's like it's not his fault. But that's the entitlement that occurs, right? It's the entitlement that fosters. Like if Superman was only here to just magically cure my husband, he would be alive. It's all Superman's fault why my husband isn't here now. That's kind of what the lady was doing. And the story is about Superman really thinking about that and going, you're right. I don't pay attention to the little guys, to the little problems of everyday people enough. And so he kind of goes on a walk to start helping people out, like cleaning their storage closet and stuff like that. It seems humble, right? It seems humble, but the thing is, he has immense power. He should be off fighting these big world-ending threats. But yeah, that's kind of what that happens. That's kind of the modern day idea of a superhero. Like they should be perfect and awesome in every way. Let's see. Like versus LD, I have a few ready for primetime players balking my rates for physical art. I say, charge what you're worth. The starving artist is bogus archetype for the unambitious. Yeah, it's kind of what happens. Like some of these guys are like, oh, can you do my comic book for $100? Not $100 per page, but like $100. Like some people think that, oh, I'm ready for prime time. I'm ready. I can pay you $100 for a comic book. I think that's huge. That's like I've come in and I've saved your life kind of money, right? But like no, that's crazy. Because I've heard that story where an artist would be like, some of these guys approach me and say that they'll give me $100 to do their comic, and like this, and some people some might fall for that, which is crazy. But yeah, you don't really want to sign on the contract, sign on the dotted line if you're getting $100 to do some guy's like 48-page comic. That's insane. And you say like, oh, I'll charge you like $100 per page. Like, what? $100 per page? Like, you're insane. What do you think you are? Todd McFarlane? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Todd McFarlane gets like $1,000 a page. Yeah, so these guys don't really know what goes into making these things. Making a comic book is expensive, very expensive. This is kind of why I'm willing to make Lady Midnight a full color book, but I have to make it a stretch goal. If we get that stretch goal, the first stretch goal of the book will make it full color, but it has to be a stretch goal, so I can make sure that I have enough money to pay the artist, to pay for the coloring, the lettering, the shipping, the printing, and all that stuff. All that stuff. It's yeah, I mean, I can buy my truck back. Who knows? Yeah. But we'll see. I'd rather make the comic books and see where that takes us. I want to invest in the comic books. I want to get the stories out there. People really liked Dead Man's Lullaby. I want to finish it. It's a trilogy, so I want to finish it. And I think you really like the ending, and it kind of connects. It kind of sets up the origins and connects to like where this all led to, the twist in Dead Man's Lullaby and all that stuff. Oh no, the twist in Miracle Child and stuff. I'm gonna like it. You're gonna like it. We have to get there first. Let's see, chat. Dave Musman says $100 to work on a whole comic. Yeah, I've heard that story. It's, some artist told that story about how some guy came to him and said, I'll give you $100 to complete this whole comic. Or it's crazy. It's crazy how some people will just they don't really value the time it takes to be an artist. So like, yeah, just I'll pay you $100 to do this entire comic, as if that's a gift. Gary Dewar says, hey, how about a $75 a page and royalty contract plus? Well, that's kind of the other altering of the deal, right? So every artist I've worked with has deals they're willing to work with. It depends on the artist. And a lot of times it's like, here's my page rate. Okay. But you can negotiate with the artist to lower the page rate if you give them royalties or give them part ownership to the IP, like a little bit of the ownership or something. Like they might own the story, or they get to retain the rights to sell the art, somewhere else. Like, okay, $100 a page, but I'll do $75 a page if I can sell the art I make with impunity. Like I can, like you don't have exclusive rights to the art. I get to sell it on my end too, or I get to sell the original art on my own to make some extra bucks. Something like that. So it all depends on the artist, but sometimes it's like they have a standard issue page rate, and then you can negotiate that down if you're willing to give them other things in return. That's what says. It is really fun. It's really fun to write. I think you'll like the second and third installments, because second one, I had a lot of inspiration from like the Mad Max movie, the big chase. That's kind of where it's set up. I think you might like that one. Action Punk says, good morning, Pope. Everyone is doing well as always. Yeah, so do I. So do I. That Superman story reminds me of the time Wally West was the Flash sent to court when he was the one held responsible for a woman being burned. Insane. He wasn't responsible. So Wally West was as the Flash sent to court when he was the one held. Oh, he was held responsible. Yeah, it's a very easy target. It's kind of like it really is kind of like the Scrubs thing. I mean, the first time like Turk gets sued for malpractice or something like that, it's like his confidence really shakes because he was so happy being a doctor, and then he comes to this conclusion that everyone's just out there to sue you for any reason. You have this constant target on your back because they don't see someone who saved their life. They see someone who did something slightly wrong, and so they want to sue you now to get some money out of you. One says, I still say you should get some other streams to promote Lady Midnight. You should promote it more on Shadiversary. We've been doing that a little bit. Like at the end of the last two streams we've done, I played the trailer for Lady Midnight. People someone followed me and asked about the project from Shad stream. So it is getting out there a little bit. Let's see. Anyway, chat. Anyway, I found. Before we get too started, I know we've rented on for a while, but before we get too started, I found this live action version of that one musket thing. That's the founding fathers wanted.
I own a musket for home defense, since that's what the founding fathers intended. 4 ruffians break into my house, a devil. I grab my powdered wig and Kentucky rifle, blow a golf ball-sized hole through the first man. He's dead on the spot. Draw my pistol on the second man. Misses him entirely because it's
live action version.
Small bore and nails the neighbor's door. I have to resort to the cannon mounted at the top of the stairs, loaded with.
I mean, how base do you have to be to have a cannon in your house? It's like Revolutionary War Home Alone.
Tally-ho, lads! Great shot shakes 2 men in the blast. The sound and extra shrapnel set off car alarms. Fix bayonets and charge the last terrified rapscallion. Bleeds out, waiting on the police to arrive, since triangular bayonet wounds are impossible to stitch up. Just as the founding fathers intended. I own them.
This is the founding fathers intended. Perfect. Anyway, chat. I thought it was pretty fun seeing it in live action. Anyway, all right, let's get down to business with this one. I've been wanting to look at this one for a while. 2 types of fantasy world builders. Let's check it out, chat. See what these types are. Should be interesting. No worries, not that long a video. We got a lot of stuff to get into.
They say I am an author. And I suppose I am. I suppose my primary purpose the reason for which I was formed in my mother's womb and for which I rise out of bed every morning to walk this mortal coil. I suppose that purpose is to tell stories, but to
This is definitely a flavor of writer, yeah.
say I am just an author, that could not be farther from the truth, for I am so much more than just an author. I am everything and anything. I am a seismologist and an ecologist. I know all the intricacies of evolutionary biology and biochemistry, and I know the patterns of the winds and the clouds and the tides. I am an astronomer and a cosmologist, an archaeologist, an economist, and a paleontologist. There is not a field I have not dabbled in, nor a textbook I have scorned. I consult with experts until I become one, and I push the frontiers of every discipline I touch. At night, questions plague me. What factors influence the likelihood of abiogenesis? Does altitude affect the prevalence of ejectives in a language? Are shrimp
The unemployed world builder. That's one of them. The unemployed world builder.
conscious? Can they become conscious? How could we theoretically bioengineer shrimp such that they become conscious? Would such an experiment be ethical? If shrimp were conscious, how many would it take to change a light bulb? They say that true Renaissance men cannot exist in our modern era, that the amount of knowledge we have accumulated in every field vastly exceeds what anyone can learn in their lifetime. But I know I must have it all. However many sleepless nights it takes, however much pain it brings.
It's David Musman says that there was a real guy that literally did that. Congressman Cassius Clay literally turned his newspaper shop into a fort with a cannon and muskets. It's pretty awesome.
Me. My mind is a ravenous beast, and I must feed it. For if the tales I write are misaligned from the shape of reality, how could I live with myself? If my secondary creations are not internally
It's
consistent,
Meglathon. Links to the $5 super chat. Thank you much, Meglathon. It's oh good. I'm science fiction. I'm sure income show up in this video, right? Surely, right? I hope so. It should, right? If it wants to be full was he fully honest?
down to the subatomic interactions of which they are composed, how could I ask anyone to respect my skills as an artist? My creations must be more than plausible. They must be more than mere phantasms spat into the wind by a maladaptive daydreamer.
It really feels like this is how a lot of writers are in high school and college. Like that's what it feels like. I'm so deep and so intelligent. The more I listen to this guy, it's like, yeah, I think we're all there. I was here before in high school and stuff like that. I had this mindset, but you have to get over this. It's got the part you have to get over, right? Because if you go into writing with this mindset, it's probably going to be very pretentious and full of itself. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. Pretty sure that's going to be the case.
They must instead be so logically consistent, so inevitably possible, that in some world out there in the multiverse, they are real. Then, when I look
Oh man, not the multiverse.
out into the stars at night, I can imagine the space of immense
Also, usually, like a lot of times, you are also, you're unemployed when you're in high school and or college sometimes.
but finite possibilities that our laws of physics allow, and I can imagine that somewhere out there, in the vast reaches of possibility, my characters are looking back at me and smiling.
All right, type 2. So that was type 1. Here's type 2.
Hey, so I have some questions about the world building in this manuscript.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, in chapter 3, you introduced this mind reading ability that some people have, but then you just never mention it again. And I'm just thinking, if certain people have the ability to read other people's minds in this world, don't you think that would have some effect on society or the plot or anything?
Oh, yeah, cow tools.
David Musselman. It's the 10 gifted membership. Thank you much, David Musselman. Appreciate it, David Musselman. Very cool. Let me see. Where's the right one here? Here we go. David Musselman, thank you very much. Welcome to 10 new members of the Lit Legion. I'm pretty sure that people would want to see the coverage, no matter what kind of coverage it might be, on that Door Monster skit. Or that Door Monster video about Hero's Journey. So that's why I definitely made them members only. So you can only go back and rewatch those as members. So welcome to the 10 new people who could do that now. All right. Thank you much, David Musselman. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciate David Musselman. And very cool.
What?
Cow tools.
Is that like a a book or something?
No. You know the Far Side, the Gary Larson comic?
Yes.
So there's this really famous Far Side comic that basically depicts a cow standing in a barnyard with like a whole bunch of tools laid out in front of it. And the tools are all these like strange, meaningless shapes. But the comic is effective because of the absurdity of not knowing what any of these tools are for.
I don't really see what that has to do with mind reading.
If the reader understands everything about your world building, it'll take the mystery away. Instead, what you should do is give an illusion of depth, an illusion of meaning, and let the reader do the rest of the work in their heads. Like with the cow.
You don't. Okay, yes and no. Because yes, you kind of want to keep the mystery, some mystery there to be intriguing, but it all has to mean something. I'm like, so my latest video, like, yeah, Lead Child goes into the idea of the better use of your time is not to make a better story necessarily, like to make god tier storylines, to make something completely original. It's to make let your audience get really hungry, and by narratively speaking, it means making them giving them a question, and then keep putting the answer off. And keep putting the answer off, and keep having the heroes almost arrive at the answer, and then they don't get it. Like something else happened. They think they've almost answered the question, but then there's the real answer is somewhere else, right? So you kind of want to keep doing that over and over and over again throughout the story without tipping your hand. But at the end of the story, you have to give us the revelation. You have to tell us what actually is going on. You can't just mystery box it and say, well, isn't it cool that you get this really intriguing question? There has to be meaning behind it, right? So I have some things in Lady Midnight comic that I'm making right now that's world building, and like you don't know what this might mean because it doesn't really pertain to the story all that much or at all really. But there is an answer to it. There's going to be an answer to all the stuff that you see. You might not get all the answers in this story, but all the lore stuff, the history of Orb City and things, everything you see, there's an answer, where it came from, where it originated, what it means, what it does, what the purpose is. So you kind of, yes, it's fun to think, what do these tools do? There's no real meaning. So yes, you can do that, and it makes intrigue and it lets people question things, but you don't want to do that with things that are important to the story. You can do that with things that are unimportant. Like if they go in and there's a story about one thing, and then in the background there's like some weird world building elements behind there. It's like you can keep those a mystery, like how this functions, how this works, because it's not really all that important to the story, right? It's kind of how this was the worst case of this was a time turner. Like hold on, wait a minute. You mean tell me that any student can really go back in time with time turner? Doesn't make any sense. Like, how does that work? Why is this a thing? How come Hermione has one? They just let any like really good student have a time turner. So there's a lot of lore in Harry Potter, for example, that's kind of interesting. That kind of like world building elements that you don't really question because it's not all that important to know how it works. Like the flu network system. Like the flu power, the first time it's done is like, oh, we're just going to go to Diagon Alley because it's pretty quirky. Ha ha ha. We're just going from chimney to chimney. But later on, we find out there's a flu network, right? So there's like different things in there, different things in the background of Harry Potter that are just quirky and fun. And we're kind of left wondering, and it's okay that we're left wondering because they're not pertinent to the story. They're not a major part of the narrative going on. But later on, we can add to it when maybe it does become part of the narrative. It's a
comic.
Okay, in certain contexts, I can see how that might be good advice, but we're not talking about vague or mysterious elements of the world building here. We're talking about blatant contradictions.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you. This is a classic Cow Tools situation.
But you do this all over the manuscripts. Like, for example, in chapter 5, you make this huge deal about how no horses are able to live in this world because all of them died off 50 years ago because of some curse or something. But then in the next chapter, the characters just go get a horse.
Cow Tools.
And then in chapter 9, you introduce these killer ant things, and you say that one bite of them is enough to kill a grown person.
Okay, that's just bad writing. It's like Cow Tools. It can't be like, oh yeah, there's no horses, and then they just get a horse, and then leave it at that. You kind of when you do something like that, when you say something that can't be done, and then you just do it, there has to be a reason. All right, this is kind of the same thing that ruined Luke Skywalker. By the way, it's like, okay, people could accept that Luke Skywalker became a disillusioned hermit, but there has to be a good reason, right? You can't just Cow Tools it and go, hey, he's just a disillusioned hermit now. There has to be a reason why he got there, and they try to give us a reason that but it's not actually a reason. the reason is that the reason why he became this grumpy, disillusioned hermit is because he was a grumpy, disillusioned hermit. What I mean by that is the reason why he became a grumpy, disillusioned hermit is because he tried to kill his own nephew in his sleep by mere reaction. Okay, well, he's already compromised. How did he get there? Well, how did he go from like this hopeful hero to this disillusioned weirdo, right? It's kind of weird. So it's a very strange thing. So that's why people didn't accept it. It was so weird because he was already like on the wrong path. He's already kind of a weirdo. So we want to see what exactly brought him to that point where he was so afraid that he almost killed his nephew in his sleep. Like what brought him to that point. We want to see that part. See that part where we see the fall from the Luke that we know to the Luke that we see in The Last Jedi. It was a good one. We can see exactly the moment where he failed. Really failed. Not, Reddit failure, where it's like, I was too in love with my own legend. Like, shut up. That's not a real reason. That's like a Reddit philosophical reason. That's like World Builder type 1 kind of reason. All right. It's a dumb reason. And World Builder type 2 kind of reason, I guess. But it's just the reason is waxing philosophical. Like, no, it's dumb. There has to be a real reason why he got there. Like something that he did that ended up killing a lot of people for no reason. Like some choice that he made out of hubris that ended up with lots of people dead or something. That would be a good reason. We don't get that. We just get this one time he was really scared already and almost killed his nephew in his sleep. And that's why he started hating the Jedi for some reason, even though that was his fault. Anyway.
But then the main character falls into like a pit of them and gets bitten 1,000 times, and he comes out perfectly fine, and nobody even mentions how insane that is. Cow tool.
That's just bad writing. It's not cow. Shut up. Oh man, this one is triggering. I thought it was gonna be the better one. I was ready to go like, oh, this is based and everything. He's more like let loose and stuff. Like maybe he's a little bit wrong, but let loose. But no, this guy's even worse than the other one. At least the type 1 cared. This guy is just trying to justify bad writing as some deep philosophical Benioff and Weiss crap. Like, oh yeah, just do what comes to your mind, and that'll be the right way to go. Like, no, because you're not actually Daenerys, right? You're not actually Tywin Lannister. You have to be in the mindset of Tywin Lannister. I know this because this is how you write characters. You're not writing you're writing a character. You have to be in a different mindset to write this person accurately. Thank you much, Megalithon. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Very generous, Megalithon. Appreciate it. Thank you very, 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 very much. Holy shit, indeed, Megalithon. I think that since I've already only started writing in my late 30s and enjoying and analyzing stories for years, 3 years here on Moin Nonsense. Thank you much, Megalithon. I catch myself from amateur pitfalls. It's great that my opening chapter hooked my test readers. That's pretty good. That's a good sign. The thing, what happens with writing is that sure you can evolve past a lot of amateur mistakes. You can evolve past some of them, but they will always be there. They'll always be there to haunt you. All right, it's just natural. You can practice is knowing how to ward against them and how to recognize them. But this is kind of why you really need to do a second and third draft, because your first draft is probably going to be filled with these amateurish mistakes. And then probably no matter how skilled you get, it's going to have like these rough things, these rough elements to it that you kind of have to hammer out later. So yeah, don't worry about making amateur mistakes. You will make them. You'll continue to make them. You might even make Mary Sue's. It's just a thing that can happen. All right. That's why writing is rewriting. Not first draft. Writing is rewriting, and you need to go back and kind of rewrite and see where things went wrong, see if something works or not. These amateurish mistakes will always haunt you. It's just the difference between a bad writer and a good writer is that a good writer knows how to recognize them and is willing to go back and change them. This is where the humility comes in. You know you're not perfect. You're humble enough to know that you're not perfect, so you know that you need to go back and change these things. You need to go back. Like, obviously, I made mistakes here, so let me go back and hammer out those mistakes, make them better, make them plug up those plot holes, making everything better. Bad writer is this guy right here, the second world builder. We're like, oh, cow tools. Like, no, it's not cow tools. It's not some deep intellectual brilliance. It's just bad writing. Okay. Oddly enough, there's a fine line, very fine line. It's a caricature that like stabbing a person turning into a smoke demon. Yeah, exactly. It was a just justifiable use of the force, right? She was going for the force. But yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. Like this, they did nothing that we know. Normal people know that the Jedi did nothing wrong in the Acolyte when they killed all the witches because they were going to attack them. They were going like, why become a smoke demon if you're not going to attack them, right? So, so of course the perspective, the what we're told is true is that the Jedi did something wrong, and that Yoda is an evil guy who covers up the crimes of the Jedi for some reason. Right, something like that. So, it's the idea is that the Jedi did everything wrong because they were the aggressors. They did some aggressive action that killed the witches, and that was bad for some reason. Even though the witches tried to attack them, like it's crazy stuff. But yeah, whatever happens, if you are, unless the two actions that can occur is that you are wrong and you did something aggressive, or you die at your post. But at least you died knowing that you were not racist. That's how it goes. That's kind of what they're putting on a lot of people in the West. Like the good person will get stabbed and not do any racisms, but the evil person will point it out and try to defend themselves against religious stabbings. That's why it was kind of annoying in the first Knives Out movie, right? Because the main character, the nurse lady, the whatever, I think she's a nurse or whatever. I do like the actress, but the thing is, the character, right? The character committed a crime. She was negligent, and it would have ended up with his death by poisoning or whatever. Had Ransom not been in the backstory, the behind the scenes, and switched the medicines. Like, she actually made a mistake that should have led to his death. Like, that was legitimate. But Harlan is like, oh, wait a minute, you're an immigrant, so they're going to be racist against you and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and kill myself and put together this elaborate plan so that you can get away with my murder. And like, what level of woke? What level of castrated male are you? Like, no. It's the same thing with Bruce Wayne in the third Nolan movie. Like, you can be angry, you know that, right? You can have some anger in you for the betrayal. This nurse was not paying attention, and she killed you, or should have. If not for Ransom, she would have killed him. So you're going to spend your last moments, alleviating, trying to help her get away with murder. Okay. And then what was it? The Bruce Wayne in the third movie that movie is all about simping for Catwoman. So Bruce Wayne obviously is betrayed over and over and over and over and over by Catwoman, like, just countless times, and he's still like, well, hey, Catwoman, what's up? Like, stop it. But you could be a little angry, Bruce. So that way Catwoman can have consequences for her actions, right? Not just like, oh my goodness, I betrayed Bruce Wayne and now the city's in the hand of terrorists. Like, she should have gotten consequences from Bruce Wayne also. Like, he should have trusted her or anything. So it's retarded. Like, this whole mindset is just dumb. Like, stop trying to step in and be a castrated male. Like, stop it. This is not good. Get help.
None of this is cow tools. This is just you throwing ideas at the wall and then
bad writing.
Contradicting yourself the moment you get some idea you're like better. You have to have some self-consistency. Oh, you could say the same thing about so many famous novels. Like in Alice in Wonderland. Did she really go to Wonderland, or was it all just a dream? We'll never know.
That is not even remotely comparable to this.
Yeah, it's not even remotely the same thing.
Whatever, man. Art is art, okay? Absurdism is not...
His story is pretty interesting in Alice in Wonderland. It's just about nonsense and stuff. But the ending is the ending. The story still happened, right? The story still happened. Like, okay, did she go there? Did she not? Was it a dream? It's leaving you wondering, but the story still happened. Like, it was very important whether it was a dream or not. Okay, it doesn't change what happened in the story, knowing without not being able to know whether it was a dream or whether it really happened or not. doesn't change the course of the narrative. All right. He's talking about there's no horses. Boom, you have a horse now. Wait, why? Cow tools. This guy is like bitten by 1,000 poison snakes, but he's fine. Why? Cow tools.
Not the same thing as incompetence.
That's a huge difference.
Cow tools. Cow tools.
Okay. If that's real. Hold on. 1 second here. 1 second.
No. You know The Far Side, the Gary Larson comic?
Okay. So here's what needs to happen. Now, some people will say, like, at this point, if I were talking to this guy, I would be so this infuriated by this line of logic that would have the idea of, going back in time, and some guys, they'll go back and kill Karl Marx or whatever. We got to stop this guy from making this comic. He ruined a generation of authors by making this Cow Tools comic. All right, this is horrible, terrible, awful stuff. Anyway, there we go, chat. Two types of world builders. I wouldn't say you want to be either. You gotta want to be in the middle. Don't be too rigid and too deep or whatever, or too pretentious, but also don't be so lenient that you're like, oh, cow tools. I'll just do whatever and tape it together with cow tools. This is not even a representation of a planner, engineer, architect. It's just nonsense. Yeah, it's just nonsense. What is it? But there are people like that. It is nonsense. Anyway, chat. Anyway, here we go. Let's check it out, chat. Let's check it out. We got some other stuff to go over. This should be interesting. All right. So here's a video I found called "People Don't Know the Difference Between Writing a Book and being a writer." They don't. All right, they don't. So let's check it out. These are pretty long videos, because technically speaking, but you don't have to watch all of them. But they are pretty interesting topics.
Reading Just Friends by Haley Pham, and I was just looking at the Goodreads reviews, and they are brutal. The thing that's really stood out to me is people saying, oh, she's not an author, she's an influencer. Like, what is an author? To me, an author is someone who writes a book. I get that she got her foot in the door because she had a platform, and then that's how she got published. But honestly, it took her forever to build the platform.
I am seeing an argument that is actually pissing me off. She's an amateur writer. She's new to this. It's only her first book. It's Simon & Schuster. This thing had a budget and editors. Shit.
And it could still be, I mean, that's saying something. They had a budget and editors, and it was still awful. That could definitely happen. And obviously they're not there for quality as much anymore. They're for, the business. And she's a big influencer. Yeah, even Simon & Schuster will definitely take her on and like, we're going to publish you. We're going to make it as good as possible. But, you could sometimes a writer's so bad, you're pretty much just putting lipstick on a pig. Like, if they don't have the skill set or the mindset or anything like that, or the experience, then it's still gonna be bad. It's just because all the editor can really do is point out what is bad and probably what should be changed, and then the actual changes themselves, the creativity itself, is still up to the writer. The thing is, Simon & Schuster definitely probably saw a potential for getting a lot of sales off of this and some profit because of a big platform, and this is why they published it. It might not be because it was good. There's still some like some Penguin books, or maybe some Simon & Schuster books or Dark Horse books that are bad or not that great. It's definitely possible.
Access to a PR team. She also has plenty of money independently. She has the resources to make this a good book.
But didn't, apparently.
Have not made any attempt to read Age of Scorpius, and I have no interest in reading Age of Scorpius. Like most of you, I am most familiar with the backlash to its poor quality. Most of us have to treat being an indie author as our full-time job, despite the fact that it does not pay us enough money to be a full-time job. Most of us do not get anywhere close to the type of traction that Audra Winter has gotten for Age of Scorpius, and she did it serving everybody a pie with no filling.
I 100%
Oh, damn. Just dropping that bomb.
disagree with this statement. There are less time-consuming and more lucrative ways to scam if you're going to scam. Writing is something people generally do for the love of the game, and I think that she's genuinely passionate about this project and has just handled it completely wrong.
She's making these extravagant claims about how much money she makes, and therefore how much money you could make, which are not going to apply to anyone actually interested in being an artist.
My poetry has moved on since then.
Do you still
I think
do
it's
it?
got better. Yes, definitely. I still do. I love writing poetry.
So what does it actually mean to be a writer? Do you just need to write in your free time, even if you never show it to anyone?
You keep everything in journals and
That is definitely something. That is definitely that is definitely part of it. Yeah.
diaries, and that's very, very smart of you.
How
So
many
you can
journals and
remember.
diaries do you have going?
I think I have 30. What about if you write and sell a book? Then are you a writer? Even if your content creator status played a big role in helping you secure that publishing contract?
I would love to become an author one day. I was so nervous to admit that.
Well, technically, yes. Technically, yes. You can be like Chuck Wendig is a writer, right? Even though everyone hates his books, even though everyone's like, this is the worst writer ever. Awful. But he's still a writer. However, are you an artist? Are you an actual like novelist? Yeah, it's a really good distinction between writing a book and being a writer. You can write a book and you're technically a writer, but being a writer, the mindset, the artist, writer mindset, big difference. All right. So yeah, you could, poop out a book easily and get people reading it, and you're technically a writer, but the art is a little bit different. Are you there for the art? Do you want to make great books, or do you want to just make a book you can sell for money? Let's see. Is Chuck the guy who wrote the gay donut? But I think so. I forgot. It's been a long time since the Chuck Wendig thing, but yeah, he was so crazy. Chuck Wendig was so crazy. Even the publishing company was like, "Dude, lay off conservatives." I think it was that guy. And say Ace of Swords, Silas Artist. I want to write when I was younger because of internet horror stories. But what got me motivated was seeing how they butchered my games, movies, and TV shows, especially characters I loved. Yeah. In fact, that motivates a lot of people. It's the Alan Moore thing all over again. It's what was it? It's like you read good book. You have to read a lot of books, and you can read good books to get some good ideas. But you also want to read books that are not so great, so you can get motivated and go like, "Wow, this is published." So even Alan Moore knows that just because a book is published does not mean it's going to be good. It's usually like the main defense. The main defense is that it has to be good because it was published. It's not necessarily so. A lot of comics are terrible. They are published by a big company, but they're terrible. Some books can still be terrible even though they were published. It's not a like you are published, therefore it's good. It's not an absolution or anything. You don't get absolved for all that. You just don't. Insane. But yeah, so it's kind of like the degree. Like people are like, I have a degree, therefore I'm right, even though I'm clearly wrong. But I have a degree and you don't. You have a biology degree, that sort of thing. So you have to have a degree to agree with what your eyes are telling you, apparently. But like that's the artsy version of I have a degree. Is I got it. It was published. It was good. No, not necessarily. So yeah, you're a writer. It can be published. Doesn't necessarily be good or mean you're an artist. It's the mindset. It is the like an artist will put a lot of work, a lot of effort into learning things and building deep lore and building some characters and making sure everything's consistent. That's what a writer will do. For someone who just wants to write to be published is like, okay, I made a deal. Here we go. Here's the whole book. Boom. Published and sold. I don't care how good people think it is. I just want the money.
On camera in 2022 that I never even posted it. And now it's March 3rd, 2026, the day that my first book comes out. But let's go back over 4 years ago.
It's like this, there's the fake accomplishment of like, because you have a big audience, you can kind of like do these fake accomplishments. And one of them is you can be a writer and get published because they don't see, because you can sidestep the quality qualification and just go right to being published because, we don't have to sell you on quality. We could sell you on the fact that you have a huge audience. It's definitely something that happens.
To day one of writing this novel, Just Friends.
Okay, but like, what if you spent like a crazy amount of time, like 10,000 hours since you were 12? writing.
And God knows I have done that. I have reached my 10,000 hours because ever since I was 12 years old, I have spent 3 hours or more every single day without failure writing at night before I go to sleep. I cannot go to sleep unless I write.
What is this? Won't save you. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need, it has to be 10,000 quality hours, right? You have to, write and then reflect on your writing, write, reflect on it, change it. And it's kind of why it's really good at practice to edit your own stuff, and why it's really good practice to do fan fiction. You write, reflect on it. What did I do wrong? If you don't reflect on your own writing, your skill set, what you need to improve on, you're not going to grow. You can do 100,000 hours. You're not going to grow. You need to acknowledge your flaws and your misgivings and know where you need to improve yourself.
Then what about book sales? What about not just your book being published, but actual real people wanting to buy and read it?
And I ended up breaking records and selling 4,700 of them. I have stepped into a role as an entrepreneur and a business owner, which is really, really exciting. It all happened in less than a month.
What's this? I also feel like as an author, it's important to read, and Audra has never discussed books that she enjoys or that have maybe influenced her novel, but I guess she's a CEO and not entirely an author. Let's see. Yeah, Audra clearly wants her book to succeed without actually putting in the effort to hone her craft, because she sees as solely a product rather than a piece of art. Yes, that is definitely the case here. It seems like a lot of influencers have this mindset, I think. And the tech bros who want to train AI to mass produce books in droves and just make bank. She's making the art part out of it. To hell with her. It's kind of it, yeah. So you could have a novel AI, or no, not novel AI. Maybe novel AI. I don't know. Well, ChatGPT or something. You could definitely have something like that pump out a story, right, for you, and they can sell it. It might even get published, who knows, by some, I guess, low tier publisher. And you can make money off of it. You can do whatever. You technically publish, technically a writer, technically getting read, I guess. But the art mindset, the passion is not there. There's no humanity in it. It's soulless. It's soulless swill, and it shows, and people react to it. It's strange, but people react to you can kind of tell if there's a difference between, the people can kind of tell the difference when they're reading something that was made through obligation or something soulless and something made with passion. And the art mindset is there to give you that passion, and it shows. And see, what's this one? What gets me is that she talks as though she genuinely believes she's a successful author, entrepreneur, and influencer. I've rewritten the same book for 10 years without publishing. It's not a writing career. I invested a 6-figure amount of money from my Kickstarter into a business once. It's not a 6-figure business. Yeah, it's true. It's not all profit or anything. It's not generating that much money. By sales. It's kind of like you just got that much money. I went viral once because I promised to overpromised and underdelivered. Is not being an influencer. It seems to me like she may have been gifted as a kid, was always told how amazing and talented and oh man, this one is doing too much noticing. So yeah, being gifted is one thing. Right. It's one thing. Sure, you can be talented and gifted as a kid and, want to do something later on in life that's pretty passionate or whatever. But being gifted is just basically a head start. Right? You have a head start in this one skill that you want to do. You still have to do the work. You still have to go on your hero's journey to develop to develop this stuff, right? You can't just begin and then rest on your laurels, right? Or I guess in this case, rest on your lulls. Here's the thing. That's unfortunately the curse of a lot of gifted artists, is that they are so willing, because they grew up like as a prodigy or something, and they praised and they're told that they're awesome and gifted and cool, and you're going places, kid. They take that as, I'm already peak, I'm already great, I'm already the best you can possibly be, and they don't grow. They don't grow, and they don't put in the effort. They just think they can walk in to anything and just do whatever. They just walk in and they're going to be praised. This is a big wake-up call, right? When they actually go into the real world and they see all these people are on their level or better, because they, even though they started off as a head start, they were not motivated to improve themselves any more than that, because everyone just told them they were awesome. Because even if you're gifted as a kid, you have to work out. You have to work that skill, whatever it might be. What's strange about this is that in Avatar: The Airbender, who are the prodigies? You got Toph, right? Toph is a prodigy, Azula prodigy, Katara prodigy. Are they really prodigies? I don't know. Maybe. But the thing is, Toph, Katara, Azula, all of these characters practice constantly. Toph enters professional fighting matches to practice her earthbending. Azula tirelessly practices her craft like every day without rest. She just boom, 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 boom. She's so into her practice that she gets mad if one hair is out of place after she's done her forms, right? So say what you will, like she's a evil villain or whatever, and she's like really powerful and skilled. She's earned that because she has basically sacrificed her childhood to become a really powerful and skilled and experienced firebender, with countless hours spent training. Katara, probably wasn't as great at the beginning because she didn't have a formal teacher or any motivation or anything. That she was the only waterbender in the village, I think. So she didn't have as much training or advantage, but she still practiced all the time. And she tells like Aang that, oh yeah, it took me months to do this part, the swaying back and forth, doing the water whip. Like it took me months to get to this part, and that's why she gets angry with Aang, because Aang just kind of like picks it up. Pakku, Grandmaster Pakku or whatever, from the sexist guy from the Northern Water Tribe, he mentions this too. He mentions that there, some people are just gifted and they rest on their laurels. And that was Aang. Aang was this guy. Aang was the guy that was gifted from birth and rested on his laurels because he was already awesome and didn't really want to try. And really, he was like, I'm really good. Who cares? So, all these people, Azula knew she was told she was a prodigy from birth. Like she was like this. She was born lucky, but maybe so. But the thing is, she also put a ton of work into it, which made her really, really good. David Musselman, additional $20 super chat. Thank you much, David Musselman. Thank you very, very much, David Musselman. Very, very generous. Let's see. LD, do you know who Audrey Rinto is? She has a case of gaslighting and avoidance. Says she's been working on a book series for years. People are calling her out for not delivering. I think she is on Book Talk. That makes so much sense. Like, but was she promising? Did she like make her audience based on like her developing book series? Is that it? Is that what happened? Like, I don't know. I've never heard of her before. But I have heard of the big influencer cashing in by selling you a book that they put no work into and are just kind of trying to make a buck off of it. Like there's no passion or anything behind the creation of the story, or whatever. But they definitely knows they can sell whatever to their audience or something. And see, but I haven't heard of her. But thank you much, Dave Musselman. But her being on Book Talk makes so much sense. Everything I've heard about Book Talk is completely toxic. And say Alex Haley looks at 2 says Fate authors spent years writing the first Fate VN. That's kind of what happens. That's how you do it. I've been working on Lady Midnight since I published Dr. Alpha Miracle Child. Like this, like the first Lady Midnight story is in the first edition of that book. So it's been what, a couple of years? Yeah. So I literally have been working on this for years, developing what this character is going to do. Just this first story alone has gone through so many different iterations, but overall, the development of the story overall, I mean, I have to have at least 100 different story ideas, 100 different drafts done from other story ideas that were going to be the first story of Lady Midnight, and developing lore and all that stuff. I mean, there's so much work went into this, a lot of work. So because when I published the first story of Lady Midnight, I want it to be really good. I'm shooting for the stars. I'm shooting for the stars, right? Or at least shooting for the sun or the moon. What's it called? Shooting for the moon so I can land among the stars. Like, I know it's probably not going to be received as great as I want it to be received, but I'm shooting for the moon with this story so I can land among the stars. Hopefully. Hopefully. And see, Tablespoon 3 says that's also part of the tragic downfall of Azula in season 3. She still wanted to do normal teenage girl things, but didn't know how. Yeah, because she threw away all of that, her socialization, all that stuff like that, so that she could become a great and powerful firebender. And she is. She is really good at fighting and firebending. However, she's not really good at this as socialization. She's good at manipulating because she's a psycho, but she's not really good at just being normal. And that's kind of the big tragedy we see in season 3. Devine Dipper says, look at all the precious prodigies who grew up with how many of them changed the world rather than enriching themselves. Yeah, and how many of them went off to go do nothing? Because there's a story. There's that story from, I think, from the same book that I told you about, where the teacher's like, oh yeah, I had my students come in with a book, graphic novel that they hate and one that they love. I think it's from the same guy. The same teacher, the same author, where he talks about his experiences. Right? I think I talked about this in my 13 rules for writing. He talks about his experiences, okay, in art school, and his teacher kind of noted this particular dichotomy: the guy who works hard and the guy who's a prodigy or gifted. The guy he mentions the guy who's gifted is going to come into the real world of his profession and get nothing. He's gonna get, for the first time, he's gonna get pushback. He's gonna get critique. He's gonna get negative feedback. And to the ego of someone who's been praised their entire life as some gifted prodigy, some genius, this is gonna hit pretty hard. And so he makes the distinction of like the guy who graduates as a prodigy. He's going to go to these different places and he's going to get rejected over and over and over and over again. Like he goes to the 10th one, the 20th one, the 20th rejection. He's going to give up. He might give up because obviously my world is shattered. I'm not as genius as I thought I was. Meanwhile, the guy who put in the work, who has the mindset of like, I'm going to create, is going to do the 20, is going to get through 20 no's and 30 no's and even 40 no's. But if he doesn't give up, he's going to start, knowing people, making connections, improving himself, wondering why he's being said no to. And then eventually he will make it. He will make it. But it's just that ego thing of like, some prodigies are just kind of like, they grew up being told they're geniuses. And when they get out into that real world and they're the weird world of art is not clamoring and jumping at their projects and things and are thinking that's the next best genius thing. It's like, wow, maybe I'm not so great. Let me go back home. This is exactly why I was so infuriated at the main trajectory of the main character in Mixtape. Because her whole trajectory in Mixtape is, I'm going to go and I'm going to abandon all my friends. I'm going to go across the country to live with my sister. And then I'm going to do from there is I'm going to deliver my mixtape selection to this prominent DJ. And of course, I'm a god at this, which she literally kind of says that her mixtapes transcend reality or whatever. It's like an experience, a religious awakening, because the way she puts songs together. Songs she did not write, by the way, just popular songs together that people know and have written. And then so she's going to go to this DJ who has never met her before. And the idea is that after she's crossed the entire country, this DJ is going to receive her mixtape, listen to it, and then hire her on the spot. And then from that point on, she's going to become a very famous, like a audio engineer or something like that. And she's going to be rich and famous, and everything's going to be great. And that's kind of what her whole dream is. So she's going to follow that dream. Which I guess could be admirable, right? In some respects. But the thing is, she has no real plan. Like, it would be okay. I could see where she's coming from if she had already made contact with the DJ, and the DJ has heard her music and said, you know what, this is pretty good. Come into the studio. Let's have a session. Let's talk. and there's a chance there, but there is no chance in mixtape. She's just like, I want to do XYZ. I'm so awesome and super cool that when I get to that DJ, that I'm going to go ahead, and she's obviously going to hire me on the spot. So she's going in blind to a person who's never heard of her before, abandoning her friends, going back on her promises, and just with this weird childish dream of being hired on the spot. Because everyone in their town is like, "Oh, you're so good at making mixtapes." Sure. So the whole goal is just retarded. Now, if I don't really know if this is the case, I think at the end of the mixtape game, she might reconsider going on that trip. I think, but I'm not really sure. I think it's kind of left ambiguous. But that's going to be a harsh reality check when what's her name, Stacy, is going to get there, and then DJ is like, "Who are you?" Yeah, it's fine. I heard that mixtape. I guess, like, if by some miracle the DJ meets with her, by some miracle the DJ listens to the mixtape, because obviously the DJ might be is probably getting like thousands or at least hundreds of offers like this per day, and if two miracles happen and she gets a meeting, and then the second miracle is that the DJ listens to her, she's probably gonna be like, okay, it's a cool mixtape, I guess. That's pretty cool, I suppose. Anyway, I got a meeting to go to. Goodbye. That's probably what's going to happen, and she's going to get crushed, and it's going to be a huge blow. Like the whole thing about you're going to get hired on the spot is probably not going to happen. Alex Halo, thanks for the $5 but he didn't have the time to finish writing the last Fate route, so he had to release it unfinished, and he gave that last heroine her own show later. That's pretty cool. That's kind of usually have to do it. Let's see. Will Lady Midnight have a mandatory beach or hot spring scene? Maybe not in the first one. Let's see. Hold on. Jay Vogue says, where did the idea for the nun cover Lady Midnight come from? That was her original outfit. So her original outfit was her with a hood and this really skimpy outfit. But then I kind of moved towards 90s punk attire. So she's kind of more a grunge feel because the world is like 90s punk. So I gave her a little bit different outfit, but she's going to have a little bit different outfit during the series. So things changed a little bit because I wanted to have this artistic vision for the story, and it changed a little bit. But I think you'll still like it. Tamer Spoon 3 says, not gonna lie, Zula's pitch of "be my boyfriend" and together we will see our enemies driven before us and roll over the ashes of the medical civilization. Kind of, well, literally, it is kind of hot. Like literally, I mean, you got to have a very hot fire to get the ashes. But I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, all right, sounds good to me. Let's go. Anyway.
Recently, one of my patrons left a comment in our chat when I asked what types of videos people would be interested in seeing. He mentioned the ongoing discussion about how many modern authors seem to chase the virality and the aestheticization of writing a book without actually understanding the responsibility and care it takes to be a writer.
Atticus is a name that I got from, there's an ancient Greek poet, philosopher named Atticus. I love that, and I love the idea of it.
What results is the publication of some very underwhelming and questionable texts in the past few years. Texts that have, at the very least, contributed to the plummeting and tragic reputation of modern literature. Yeah, half of the poetry books in Barnes & Noble look like this now. All an author...
Let's see. 1 second. Let's go back a little bit. You must want to spend the rest of your life with yourself first. What is this? Like someone's like TikTok morning like motivational text? What is it? What is like a book of like modern day poetry? Is a book of memes? Wow. This is rough. Milk and Honey. You must want to spend the rest of your life with yourself first. I guess it's supposed to be like, oh, that's was it go self-help, self-motivational stuff? Oh, thanks. All right, sounds good.
This now. All an author really has to do is
And a whole page for that.
know how to be successful in sales and marketing and get that book on the shelves in order to take part in shaping the public perception of modern literature, regardless, of course, of their skill level and how much they actually care about the craft.
Hi guys, it's Millie Bobby Brown here, and I'm really excited to announce that my debut novel, 19 Steps, is available today.
In other words, if it's on the shelves, it's influencing the zeitgeist, point blank, period. Of course, then people want published authors to genuinely care about the craft and be actual writers, rather than someone who's just
Whoa, I was asking too much today, I think.
chasing trends and the idea of authorhood. Upon reading his comment, various author and related controversies that have transpired in the past year flashed before my eyes. And I want to talk about some of my thoughts on this debate and why, just like Sam Levinson's weird fetishes in every single episode of Euphoria, it just keeps coming up. More importantly, I want to talk about why every time it does come up, it always seems to cause so much dissatisfaction and contempt, even infighting, you could say, in the writer and artist communities. And I'll give you a little hint, a little teaser for later, an amuse-bouche, if you will. Popular opinions about this label within writer communities are fundamentally at odds with the structure and value system of our society. Welcome back to my channel. And
Oh, not capitalism. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, there's like some people. I guess if you're an influencer or something like that, some people are want to be writers because they're obsessed with the aesthetic of being a writer. They want to get that black turtleneck. They want to write with a quill. They want to be the moody artist, like always in deep thought. That's kind of what they like, rather than actually writing the book. They want to be seen in Starbucks writing. They want to be seen writing. Oh, look how I'm a great author. Look, I'm in Starbucks. I have my coffee. I'm writing this book on my laptop, the next great novel. Don't bother me, right? Don't bother me. I'm writing my next great novel. They love the aesthetics too. So that's kind of it, where they just mainly want the aesthetics of being a writer without actually writing anything.
if you're new, hi, my name
Exactly, Brian Griffin. Exactly. Brian Griffin is exactly that.
is Danae Young, and I am a chronic poet. Thanks for your condolences. You can find a bunch of my published poems on my author website, which is linked down below, alongside my 2 poetry books.
Oh, and drop a like if you're excited. A good old-fashioned controversial discussion. Check it out.
So, in all transparency, while I wanted to use these various controversies as examples, I was hesitant to. We all know how book talk and booktube drama can kind of take on a life of its own and be sensationalized for the purpose of creating entertaining content that I, admittedly, like a lot of people, eat up, but also content that isn't actually helpful to having a nuanced conversation about pretty much anything, and actually just ends up gatekeeping and discouraging people who are wanting to be artists or writers or are trying to be. I mean, the amount of content creators who have made, I kid you not, 10 plus videos on the Milo Winter situation without ever having read either of the books that actually started the drama, Age of Scorpius or Alter Life, is something that needs to be studied. And yes, of course, everyone is free to make whatever kind of content they want. I'm also free to watch it happen and say, like, okay, guys, like, we really are just underneath the cow milking that shit. There's no need to deny it. Like, I can still see the farm hay in your hair. I was even hesitant to make my own Milo Winter video because
Let's see. Published poet's thoughts. Let's see. Ace of Swords, Silas Archer says, literally what I do is smoke a cigar or cigarello, have some caffeine, and get to work. Yeah, caffeine is important. I try my best to write as much as I can. Yeah. You want to write this in the mindset. You get in that groove and you're kind of pumping out words. It's raw, it's untamed. That's your first draft. And then you want to go back and do your second draft, to make it look like you knew what you were doing.
even though I knew it was just going to be a textual analysis and review of his poetry book, I definitely understood that there would be people who would just use it to further fuel their hyperfixation on this parasocial psychoanalysis of Milo as a person and whether he was a real writer or a scammer. Because, of course, you can only be one. I mean, everyone knows that. You can't be a writer who also is unlikable and has scammy business practices. I'm pretty sure there's no documentation of that happening.
Oh, wait, the Tiny Little Pieces guy? That was legendary, right?
A real writer or a scammer. Because, of course, you can only be one. I mean, everyone knows that. You can't be a writer who also is unlikable.
A million little tiny White Lies isn't like the Tiny Little Pieces guy, like a Million Little Pieces. He's like, he made this whole thing about he was addicted to drugs, and it was like such a touching and telling story, but it was all fake.
And has scammy business practices. I'm pretty sure there's no documentation of that happening. In fact, he must not have written the book at all. I don't think he's ever picked up a pen. But jokes aside, I kind of realized the sensationalized discourse surrounding these various book and art related controversies is in and of itself pretty indicative of the mixed messaging regarding what makes you a writer or an artist. The problem is that the title of being a writer, much like other artistic labels like a painter or a sculptor, has this underlying financial implication for a lot of people. Because art is often thought of as a hobby that people do for pleasure, it's almost like artists have to constantly prove that they are actually doing labor. And of course, the only surefire way to confirm the validity of labor in this capitalist society is, you guessed it, through those Benjamins.
This is something that I do truly believe that I have
Yeah, capitalism, baby. Love it.
expertise in after working this long. I attended writers' conferences and I was always the youngest writer. I had professional critiques from editors. I had critiques from workshops. I was in writers' communities that young. Did professional development.
Did you learn from them? That's a big thing. You can go to these things. You got to learn from them, though.
And research into that.
When people say 10 years of experience, they generally mean 10 years professional experience. So that's like me saying I have 23 years of writing experience, which is a little bit misleading. Because if I said that and you didn't see me, you'd be like, so she's like 40?
I feel like this is especially prominent in the poetry community. If you're not selling poetry books, if you're not being paid to have your individual poems published, there are genuinely so many people who would raise an eyebrow if you told them, I'm a poet, because it implies it's what you do, and that can only be verified through capitalism. But we all know that there are so many phenomenal poets that never come close to these financial qualifications. These poets will pour hours into studying the craft, reading and sharpening their skills, but their spot on the shelf will always be taken up by a Ruby Kaur, an Amanda Lovelace, or an Atticus, who then reinforce a certain image of what modern poetry looks like. With little publications or monetary gain to show for it, there's this looming question of, can you really call yourself a poet though? Can you actually? Or are you just
And so, normal man, there's the $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much.
Yes.
And see, TikTokers are like Peter Griffin. Whenever he decides to make his thing his personality for an episode. Oh, yeah. I understand that. This episode, Peter's personality is this. Like, he becomes like a football guy or something like that.
some Joe Schmo who likes to write poems on their notes app in their free time?
You're getting a real job? This is a real job.
How do you pay rent?
Well, yeah, if you're writing and you're not getting money from it, it's not really a job. It's more like a hobby or maybe even a passion. But but a job is what you do to get money. So if your writing is not giving you money, it's not a job. All right. You go to work to get money. You have a job to get money. You go to work to get money. You come back and write. If your writing is not getting you money, it's not really a job. Okay, not a job. It might be great. It might be the craft of your life, but it's not a job unless it's giving you money. That's just the unfortunate reality of the situation.
Even if you are in front of these actual businesses and you're just here on the sidelines.
A lot of people clowned on Milo Winter for fixating on this measurement of 10,000 hours of work to reach a level of mastery in his craft. He kept reiterating that he had, in fact, reached this.
This is more of that I have a degree kind of argument. Like here's my qualifications. So I've done these qualifications. I have this qualification. I've been published. I have a degree. So therefore, if you think my stuff is bad or wrong or whatever, then you are wrong because I have all the qualifications and I've had editorial feedback and stuff. It's pretty easy to get editorial feedback. You can literally hire an editor. I've had editorial feedback from people who have I've hired as editors and stuff like that. Professionals, they've gone through some of my stuff and got feedback, but I learned from it. Even with Miracle Child and Dead Miss Lullaby, I've heard feedback from people and like, you know what, that's pretty good. And I kind of learn from that and learn how to fix these problems, why these issues work. Not only just like change what I did, but why these were issues, what I did wrong, and why something else might work better next time around. So you're always learning. Even a master of his craft in the world of writing is not going to produce a perfect work. There's always going to be something you can learn, always something you can improve upon. And see. Leaf says, I'm personally not a writer by talent or trade or interest, but I thought what I am, though, is a storyteller. It requires for my day job, and for my interactions with other humans, writing just one outlet. Sounds good to me. Sounds pretty. This is definitely a thing. Absolutely.
Goal. But if I'm being honest, I see why someone who does art or writing, especially someone who's just getting their footing, would have this unfortunate misconception and would feel the need to pull out stats and book sales in order to prove to people that they're a real writer, because this definition of what qualifies you as a writer is so vague and often scrutinized due to the hobby effect that I mentioned. Now, of course, a big thing that a lot of people took issue with is that he claimed this made him a master at writing, and I'm not trying to discount.
No, I think after 10,000 hours, if you even do 10,000 hours of writing, you're not necessarily a master. So it's not about the amount of hours, because everyone can be different. So the point I say that you're you're coming into your own as a writer professionally, like on a professional level, or at least starting to, is when you find your voice. When you find your voice, boom, you've landed. You are on the right track. You have crossed the threshold into the area of expertise that you can actually do this for a living, or at least well enough to be an expert. You find your voice. Because everyone starts off as a fledgling writer, someone a newbie, and you begin by copying those you've read. You begin by copying the people that you like, the people that you follow, the people that you admire. And you write 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 and you write. And eventually, after so many stories, you will eventually start to read a transition between who you've been pretending to be, who you've been copying, and yourself. Neil Gaiman talks about this, where he kind of goes through a trunk of his old stories. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's that author. That's me trying to mimic this author or that author. And then in one story, not at the beginning, but somewhere in the middle, he starts reading a line or a paragraph that's like, that's me. All right, up here is this author, but down here is me. This is my voice. It takes a while for you to find your own voice, right? Because there's like a few episodes back, a few streams back, Glib asked me like, what's your favorite the lyrical, the syntaxed author? Like what author do I like the best? Who frames words the way I like to hear them? And my first go-to was like, I can't really understand. I don't know because the way I like to hear them is the way I write. But I thought that I might have gotten that from somebody, but I really haven't. That's me. That's the way I write. That's my voice, right? But I think my biggest influence in how to write things, how to structure sentences and everything has been Neil Gaiman. I think one of them is one of the influences. But after a while, you will eventually find your voice, and when you find your voice, that's when you can kind of come out into your own and probably do this on at least some level of professionalism. And the finding your voice as a writer is kind of similar to finding your style as an artist. They go from copying somebody to making things to a point where anyone could look at it and go, oh, I know that artist. I know that guy.
That criticism. I definitely agree that trying to quantify mastery like that is beyond silly. But all I'm saying is that I also believe he gave this information to prove.
And see, Leif says that people with 10,000 hours is for tradecraft, discipline, and habit. 10,000 hours is not equal math. It doesn't. It does help a lot, but isn't like 10,000 hours does not make you like suddenly a master. It doesn't. Especially if you're not willing to learn from your past mistakes and improve. That's part of the 10,000 hours. It's not, I wrote words for 10,000 hours, so I'm a master now. It's not automatic. All right. It takes practice. Part of the practice of writing is like writing is rewriting. Learning the craft is practicing the craft and then going back and learning what you did wrong. Like if you have a mentor, for example, like if you take martial arts, like you can practice a kick, right, for 10,000 times, but you have to practice it right. And the mentor is there to go, hey, your form is a little bit off there. You have to put more balance here. Make sure to twist your knee when you kick, stuff like that. A good mentor is there to tell you how to do it correctly so that your practice is meaningful. And he's there to tell you what you've been doing wrong so that you can reflect upon yourself and improve where you need improvement. So this is also part of the experience, also part of that 10,000 hours. It's not just writing words for 10,000 hours.
That writing was actually something he had dedicated time to and was passionate about, to prove that he wasn't just a grifter who cared about marketing, but rather, simply put, a writer. I know, rare moment of defending Milo Winter here. Very controversial opinion. Not defending his business practice.
Like my style, like my prose style, or my style essentially is kind of a mix between Gaiman and Hemingway. Like I like the minimalism, and I also like lyrical poetry in there, kind of combined. So the other guy is Hemingway that I like a lot. Other than Gaiman.
This is though. Let's get that straight. Not defending his business practices though. Let's get that straight. Alongside the 10,000 hours, people also hated that Milo bragged about.
If you're on Book Talk, are you even allowed to say the word straight? I'm pretty sure that's like a bigot thing.
How many copies of his book he was able to sell and how much of a success Age of Scorpius was because of this. They hated the business speak, and I get it. A lot of people get the ick from that. It's because we're all collectively traumatized by people who seemingly want to be famous social media authors but don't care about writing. But yet again, with such conflicting messaging on who is allowed to be called a writer or artist, I see the thought process and how someone might reach the conclusion that sharing how many books they sold, how many copies of their work real people wanted to read, might get the public off their backs in terms of whether or not they should be considered a writer or should be gatekept from that label. No writer courses being sold, no consultations or brand deals. Look, guys, I made this entire profit off of just my book. But I especially understand this urge to show everyone that you're a successful writer who spends a ton of time on their craft, even though it comes off as braggadocious. Given the huge discourse that happened just last year on YouTube regarding who gets to call themselves a real artist, how much time you need to spend on your craft in order to be let into that club. And yes, I know, before you comment, that conversation was about so much more than that. For those of you who missed it, an artist named Morg created a YouTube video that accused some YouTubers of running pyramid schemes with their art businesses. It was a whole thing. But this is what
Pyramid schemes? How does that work?
I mean when I say that drama on YouTube can kind of take on a life of its own. Because within that initial argument butted a completely different conversation about whether content creators could call themselves artists at all if they both spent more time on and primarily made their.
Let's see. Xander Steele says Scott Westerfield would be one of the best world builders if the first 5 chapters of each book wasn't filler for world building. It is that I don't think I've read him, but that is pretty funny. And that's if there's one thing that you might critique, or that I might critique, I would say about Shad's book about the Shadow of the Conqueror, is that there's a lot of long drawn out sections of world building and history and everything without really need to bring it up sometimes, and it just goes on and on and on, and it kind of slows down the narrative quite a bit, unfortunately. I mean, nothing is perfect, so I don't think that's too bad to bring up. But so when people say that there's a long drawn out sections, so some people have complained about that too, so I can understand why that would be the case. Like people say that Miracle Child had too many 9-panel pages, and yeah, it's a lot. It's too long. It might get bogged down a little in the middle and everything with some stuff. That's fine. I understand. It was the first comic ever done. So the important part is I learn from the feedback, and I'm grateful for the feedback, and I like it. So I took that to Dead Man's Lullaby, which people said was a vast improvement. Bam! Vast improvement. Like it. But yeah, it's tough. So I'm going to go back to Lead Child here. So Lead Child does something like this. He does a lot of research for his book, but what his strategy is that he's doing research for the next book. He writes a book while doing research for the next book, because when you're doing research / world building, you need to let that sink in. You need to let it settle, because when you're first doing research, when you're first doing world building, you're super excited about it. in the game with this world, you want to just spew it out to anyone who'll listen because you think it's so cool. And usually it is. It is pretty cool. But you got to let that flame die down a little bit before you start using it in a book. Because otherwise, something like this will happen. You're so excited about this new world building element that I'm going to spend 5 chapters kind of describing it to you, making it super important and all that stuff. And then later on, we can get to the actual story, right? So it's just the thing, the things that happen. You're so excited about describing all the history and the world building and the story that you just kind of bog down the narrative by just front loading it with a bunch of unnecessary details about it. That's what happens. It could happen. I know. I've been there. I've been through all this stuff. Been through all these emotional connections and these experiences, but I've had feedback over time, which allowed me to reflect on these things. Kind of why I know this stuff now. Because I once went astray myself many a time, and I've come back with greater knowledge after a mentor has said, "Hey, this sucks. Do it again. Do it better this time." Here's why it sucks. Let me tell you, it happens. It happens, and it's good that it happens. It's kind of why there needs to be critique. Right? There needs to be critique, and I said this in some of my videos at the end. I think at least in one video, where there needs to be critique because a story needs to be understood. It needs to be able to withstand this critique. The author needs to be able to withstand this critique. It is very important that they know what went wrong and reflect on how to do better next time. There's a study what went wrong and how to do it better next time. But yeah, it definitely happens. It definitely happens. It's so fun to just talk about your world and talk about the world building, but people are there for the story. All right. They will accept the world building as long as it's attached to the story. It doesn't get in the way. Or if it's like quirky fun. Like one of the series I really like a lot is The Incarnations of Immortality by Piers Anthony. And in the first book, there's like a quirky little thing that happens, like where there's like a war between, I think, flying carpets and cars or something. And there's these billboards everywhere. Like they're just attacking each other. It's not really just where they come into play. It kind of just tells you like what kind of world you're in, and also it's fun. Like, first of all, it tells you that this is a world of like flying carpets and cars and everything, where science and fantasy kind of collide, and also that there's vicious like rivalry between the two sides and stuff like that. But it's a world where science and fantasy kind of collide, so they're both there. You can use a sci-fi gun, or you can use some magic. It can happen either way. And then also you see advertisements from the literal devil. So there's the literal Satan is there advertising for his wares and stuff. He's not a secret guy. He's just kind of like, he runs a business and has billboards out there. So you can have something like that. It kind of in the background. It's kind of quirky fun, but it's there. It's helped you establish the world. So you want everything that's in there needs to be helping you move the narrative along, help establishing the world. And if it's there in the background, just to be like there in the background, just say it's there, move right along. Megalithon, like I said, $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Megalithon. Appreciate it. Thank you very, very much, Megalithon. And see, I don't know if it's good, but a favorite of mine, where before a chapter starts, there is a universe quote. A universe quote, not long, max, a little paragraph from an ad, interview, or publication. I mean, that makes sense. Sometimes it's pretty cool. You have like a little introduction to the world. It just really depends on what it is, whether or not it's a good idea. But having a quote from in universe is not necessarily bad. It all depends on the execution and what it means. And if you're starting off with that, it should mean it should connect to like the core of the story or the character. That's why in the introductionary sentence is so tough to do unless you know where the story is going or what the story or what the story is about. Because the introduction, a really good introduction, will hint like the Big Bang to everything that happens in the story. It's a rough task to get right. That's why the opening line is so important. Why so many artistic writers who into the art of it, not just the writing and the selling of it, spend some time on the opening line. and why there's like collections of the best opening lines of all time and everything, because the opening line is pretty important. The good opening line will give you a window, like a small hint into the core of the story itself. A really good one will.
Income from something else. From Morg's point of view, that something else would be a pyramid scheme, and that's definitely what they intended the main focus of their original video to be. But the fact is that when that video was uploaded, the conversation that continued afterwards turned into something else online. It essentially brought a bunch of other people's opinions to the surface regarding who gets to call themselves an artist. I think it was mainly because of a few moments in Morg's original video that implied, or were misinterpreted to mean, depending on how you look at it, that not only was Kelsey Rodriguez not a full-time artist as she claimed to be financially, but that she just wasn't an artist at all. I'll play some of the clips here and you can make your own judgment on what was implied.
I want to talk about this video and Kelsey as a creator because I've been watching her videos for a while now. Her channel is one that I find particularly interesting because I'm also an artist, so we've got that in common. Or do we? I don't want to gatekeep the idea of being.
Let's see. It was a dark and stormy night. I heard opening line, the cliche opening line. It was a dark and stormy night. It really is kind of more like a sitting around the campfire kind of line, not really like a novel opening story, like an opening line. It kind of sets the stage. Like it's a dark and stormy night, so it's kind of scary outside. It's kind of giving you the setting. It's kind of scary and foreboding. But a good story is like one of my favorite opening lines. It's from 1984, right? The clock striking 13. You immediately know that something is off, right? Immediately. And that then later on you find out that everything is off. It's good. It's really, I mean, it's a really good opening line. It's considered one of the best opening lines, I think, in a lot of lists. Let's see. What was it? 1 second here. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks are striking 13. Like it's not 12, not 6, 13. Something is quite off.
An artist, so I won't. But I am going to share some facts and some numbers. Kelsey's Instagram has less than 9 posts from the last year. Less than half of these posts are focused on art. Her current body of work, as presented on her website, includes about 8 more paintings.
Just because you have a non-binary haircut does not mean you're an artist. All right. That's kind of like the aesthetics of it, I guess. The modern day artist is like, oh, they're all non-binary and trans, and communist. But just because you have a certain haircut does not make you an artist. So what does this person do exactly?
With only 2 paintings from this year. I have more paintings in this one single project that I've been working.
Wait a minute. So you're saying you're not a real artist because you only have 2 paintings? What is this nonsense? Hold on. I don't know all these people or these people at all. But like, who cares the number of paintings you do? Like you're a machine in terms of painting. Okay, you can make more paintings, but what were these 2 paintings like? Right? It's like maybe you put a lot of effort into these paintings. It's because you make more art. Does that mean you're a true artist and someone who makes only 2 paintings? What is this mindset? This is crazy. Why are you making me defend this weirdo?
On and off for the past year than she has on her entire website. If you were to compare Kelsey's website to the website of a professional artist, you might notice that most of her images aren't labeled, and instead of pictures that focus on the paintings, her pictures are mostly these staged work in progress shots with editorial lighting and posed hands. She's making these.
Okay, and don't a lot of painters do that? Like you're getting a snippet into the process. Okay, I want to believe you, but this is terrible. This is terrible argumentation.
Extravagant claims about how much money she makes and therefore how much money you could make, which are not going to apply to anyone actually interested in being an artist. Either way, most artists don't spend 40 hours a week painting, but you do actually need to be making art to be an artist.
I can't be.
Well, she did. She made 2 paintings. I mean, that's art. Like just because it's not a lot of art does not disqualify it as art.
An art business YouTuber if I don't actually make art and share that with you guys.
I don't know if she's making art, but she's not sharing it.
I do want to make it really clear. These short clips are not representative of the main argument Morg was making. And many people resonated.
I sure hope not, because those are terrible clips. These are not arguments.
Deeply with Morg's sentiment that the label of full-time artist for a lot of these content creators was deceptive and a technique to get people to buy their courses. That argument is so valid. I think a lot of people, however, felt called to push back on the implication that if you spend a lot of time growing a profitable art business through content creation, only post minimal quote-unquote proof of your work online, and generally lean into the social media aestheticization of being an artist, then that makes you less of an artist or disqualifies you from being an artist at all. Morg, in the off chance that you're watching this, I enjoyed your video and I agree with your main argument. I'm not commenting on your video per se, I'm commenting on the debate that it sparked. Please don't come for me, I'm not trying to start anything. It's been like a year and your roasts are brutal, okay? I've seen them. I don't know if a softie like me could cope with that level of cutting sarcasm, genuinely.
I don't think it's productive or reasonable for any of us to expect to make a living from our craft alone. All of us have to be business people. We all have to be YouTubers or teachers or coaches.
Yes, someone who would describe themselves as a professional storyboard artist in animation, despite being repeatedly unemployed and currently laid off, and now trying to make money by mentoring others, would think that.
I remember Morg made a tier list video of all the responses to their initial accusations, which is jokes. But as I mentioned, several of these videos focused primarily on that conversation, not the pyramid scheme. The conversation of who can call themselves an artist when it comes to people who spend more time on business and marketing, more time growing a viral following for their art than the art itself. And I think somewhere along the line, those two arguments got conflated, unfortunately.
I think there's a fundamental lack of understanding of art careers in this video. The truth is, it is very difficult to make money solely off of art. Careers surrounding art are complicated because you have to take into account the type of art you make, how it's consumed, and who is buying it. For example, someone who paints oil paintings, someone who makes handmade mugs, and someone who does graphic design are going to have wildly different experiences. One thing they have in common, though, is self-employment. When you are self-employed, the way you make income is very different than traditional jobs. You can't just post a product on a website nobody knows exists and expect to have customers. This job is a small business, and you have to take on all the roles of that business, which includes promotion, marketing, advertising, and social media management. This is just the reality of this career path. You have to do a lot of work that doesn't have to do with art. So since you can't expect people to care about your art without doing any other kind of work or without offering any other kinds of services, and because it's smart to have multiple streams of income instead of having all your eggs in one basket, artists have turned to content creation for these 3 reasons.
So in this video, we'll be talking about these 3 points. A full-time artist is a lie. In defense of online income generation, the idea that productivity equals worth and identity. The main gist of the video that small YouTuber made against Kelsey was that she has a pyramid scheme that she entices her viewers into. That's not what I am interested in at all for this video. I wanted to use this as a springboard to discuss this discourse that always circulates these kind of communities.
But is really everyone just really actually angry over her claim that I'm a full-time artist? And she might not actually be. I mean, is she making a... So what they mean by full-time artist is that I make a painting, sell it, and that's where I make most of my money. Wouldn't that also be like I'm making videos and snippets and everything, right? I'm making videos and stuff. I don't know. Like I'm making isn't that part of your being an artist? Is that I'm making videos about my art? Like I would count that too. I don't see why that would be wrong. I guess there could be argument over like whether that counts towards me being a full-time artist. A lot of my income comes from posting pictures of me painting or something. I could see that being a discourse, but I don't really see it's a lie. I mean, it is about your art. It's like I'm a full. So there's an episode of House where this guy is like I think he's a fitness guy. And he's telling everyone, like, I used to be really fat and I just worked out really hard and I was able to like lose all this weight and now I'm a Chad, right? It turns out that he actually got some surgery and he used like artificial means to become skinny and or thinner and ripped. And then we find out wait a minute, you're advertising like natural healthy ways to get fit. But you didn't get there naturally and healthily. You got there through like artificial means. And his argument was like, well, yeah, I mean, yes, I did it this way, but I want to encourage people to get up off the chair and start working out and lose weight. And I want to inspire people. Like, but you didn't, but they're being inspired by a lie. It's kind of the whole thing. I guess it's kind of like that. We're like, oh yeah, I'm a full-time artist, but I only make a few paintings a year to really sell. Now, what if she makes a lot of money on that painting? Like, what if someone like buys her painting for $25,000 or something like that? I mean, you really don't need to make 4 million paintings to be a full-time artist. You can spend all your hours making one really good painting and selling it for a lot, right? Let's see. Leaf says, LD, you're correct. These videos are showing your work. It's valuable nowadays because it's a rampant accusation of AI art. Yeah, exactly. So I think to me, being a full-time artist includes like, here's a picture of me painting my painting. I would count that as part of like, as a full-time artist, I'm making some money off of posting a picture or making a video of me painting. To me, that counts.
That really stems from the one philosophical question: what makes you a true artist? I'm willing to bet all of my money.
I would say the mindset, the passion. Like if your passion is, if you go to your work every day, you go to write every day, and you say, I want to make a great piece of art. I want to make a great novel. I want to make a great comic. I think that's kind of where the artist mindset is. Like everything I do, I want to make it great. Right? I want to, even if doesn't turn out to be as good as I thought it was, or it's not going to be the perfect thing I had envisioned. You sit down at your chair, at your desk or whatever, and you type out your novel, you type out your comic book script, you type out your screenplay, thinking, I want to make this great. You shoot for the moon, hopefully you can land for the stars. I think that's what makes an artist, as opposed to, I just want to crank this out to get some money. Not really an artsy mindset. Not really.
That there is not a single artist on this planet that is making a livable and thrivable income on their art solely just by creating art every single day. I am an artist. I do say that it is my profession. I went to art school for it. But if I had not been living with my parents right now and had other ways to earn money, if I were to just survive on what I make from my work, I would have been on the streets as of yesterday. This point is the one that really drove me up the wall. This perception that how much work you make and how much work you show directly correlates to how valuable / how much of an artist you are. This is coming from the small YouTuber saying that, like, well, they said they're not saying she isn't an artist, but majority of the content she produces on YouTube isn't around actually creating art, it is on the business side of things. This idea that quantity of how much art you produce is directly relational to your identity as an artist irks me, because the pure
okay, that's based. Yeah. So just because you don't create 10 million paintings a year, does that mean you're just suddenly not an artist anymore? All right. In fact, I think that goes against the claim that you're an artist sometimes. If you're just churning out paintings, turning out work, that doesn't really help your case, right? How much work did you put into it? How much passion did you put into it? I think these are more qualifiers for the, I guess, the title of artist.
Definition of an artist is a person.
It's not the finished product, it's what you put into it, I think. It's the mindset that goes into it.
Who makes art. If you make art, you are an artist, full stop. That's the hill I'm gonna die on. It does not concern other people how much art I make and how much I choose to show other people.
A creator named Morgan, aka Morg Design, made a video accusing me of running a pyramid scheme and argued that I don't make enough art or enough money from my art to call myself an artist.
I'm not a creator, and that's not what my video argued. My video was about the 4 warning signs of pyramid schemes.
Sorry, dude. Missed your texts. I assumed we'd meet at the bar. Whatever. I don't care.
Sorry, dude. Missed your texts. I assumed we'd meet at the bar. Whatever. I don't care.
Being passive aggressive.
Whatever. I don't care. His problem. Do you even want to hang out?
Do you even want to hang out? Oh, let's consider it.
And so while Morg looked at some of these particular videos through
that is a good skit by King and Peele. It is a really good skit.
The perspective of, well, this isn't what my initial argument was. This doesn't disprove the pyramid scheme. The conversation had already taken on a life of its own. There was no stopping it. If anything, people wanting to fixate on these few parts of the original video proves how opinionated people are about this topic. There are also even videos continuing to come out today that I see pop up on my For You page that don't seem to comment directly on this debate, but have titles like this: Statements that reinforce this notion that one can either be an artist or a content creator who makes art but could never prioritize it in the way that it needs to be. This, of course, reminds me of one, how people questioned whether Milo Winter was an actual writer, since he seemingly spent more time on his world building and six-figure business, as he called it, than writing Age of Scorpius. And two, how we always see an immediate and growing resentment online towards any content creator and celebrity whose platform helped them secure a book deal. And boy, do I relate to that resentment. In the poetry community, many people think of an example like Ruby Kaur, who very successfully...
Really, it should be both, right? It should be, okay, your platform gets you noticed, but the quality of the work should get you published, right? That's kind of what it should be. But unfortunately, it doesn't always operate that way. It's like, okay, the size of your platform gets you noticed, get you money, get you support, but the quality doesn't really have to be there. Not really.
Successfully built $1 million business from her poetry and became arguably the first poet influencer, the first person to package herself, her lifestyle, her aesthetic.
I feel like she didn't really get there because her poetry is amazing. I feel like she got there because they need tokenism. You know how that guy that did the experiment where he kind of pretended to be a non-binary, like a minority person or something, where he got published and got a lot of awards and everything, or was got a lot of attention, I think, at the very least. Positive reflection, even though his poems were literal nonsense, not just like a bunch of jumbled words. I mean, there's a bunch of just random keys typed onto a page, right? And because his name, he used a name that was like very like minority sounding, very African or something, and said he was non-binary and trans and stuff. He got a lot of praise and all this stuff in publications. So I feel like she's not really a good poet. I feel like just she was published and celebrated because, oh, here's a brown woman we can promote. See, the whole woke mindset really has diminished everything. Because now we're not seeing, oh, this person is really good. I'm saying, oh, there's a person they want to promote for tokenism so they can meet a quota of brown people. It's exactly what happened. Let's see.
And her poetry all into a commodifiable brand.
Read Fox Media. They said the $5 chances. One may spend 10,000 hours in the pool and never become a swimmer. If ever they sit in the shallows, I'm sure to now become a poet. Cheers, lit down. Thank you much for Read Fox Media. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, if you just sit in the shallow end of the pool for 10,000 hours, you'll just get like really wrinkly. You're not really going to become a better swimmer.
And it seems from an outsider's perspective that she spends so much time cultivating this brand that this is why we get lazy ass pieces like this in her book. Yet when looking at the online discourse about all of this, I can't help but wonder if the assumption that someone you perceive online who is very brand oriented, it can't really be a real writer or can't really know what it means to be a writer is the consequence of some good old-fashioned black and white thinking, which the internet has never been known to do. Check this out, right? Haley Pham is a rich, out-of-touch influencer who makes booktube content and whose fame got her a publishing contract for a book that I don't think is well written. She can't possibly also be genuinely passionate about writing and improving her craft, can she? And I know I'm one to talk as someone who has actively felt resentment towards celebrity poets who get their books published and on the New York Times bestsellers list when the poetry looks like this. It feels like several times a year now I get the old jump scare notification. You know, the one that says insert A-list celebrity is releasing a poetry book.
And to Matthew McConaughey. New book, Poems and Prayers. Did he really do that? That's kind of interesting. But I mean, yeah, it's celebrities though. It's kind of like, okay, well, it's kind of fun to hear, buy their book or whatever and see, have some insight into their mind, I suppose. Like if it's a book of poems and prayers, that could be pretty interesting. But it's kind of like, usually they go with the biography route. Usually they get famous and then they hire some guy to write their biography for them. And that's where they sell their book. Usually. But Matthew McConaughey coming out with a book of poems and prayers, that could be pretty interesting to buy, just to read, even if the poems are bad.
And it is almost always abysmal. But here's the thing.
Oh, Megan Fox. Wait a minute, hold on. Which Megan Fox, is the conservative or the actress?
I will confidently criticize what I think is bad or low effort poetry, just as I did in my review of Alter Life by Milo Winter. But I'd honestly never be comfortable saying someone who I've never met before and don't know personally isn't a real writer. And I could say this is a rough draft that needs a shit ton more revision, but I have no clue how many revision processes it went through before this, and I would never claim to. My point is that just because a poem reads as lazy doesn't mean the author didn't care about it or didn't try to make it good. I believe being a writer is a mindset, and while you can try to piece together the clues, find someone's videos or comments, try to make an argument for why they do or do not have that mindset, and listen, we all love a little game of Sherlock from time to time. We also have to accept that it will always be conjecture. Why? When you have a capitalist society that constantly questions and scrutinizes the validity
Oh, here we go. Oh, the capitalist society
of your writer title, unless you have numbers to back it up and prove that it's not just a hobby, rather it's labor that deserves compensation. But you also have so many people that believe.
But his labor deserves compensation. That's kind of the thing. But it's unfortunately the artist. A lot of people have bullied artists into undermining their own art by saying, "Oh, well, this is not worth $40 or $50. I won't even buy this for $5." Something like that. So it's not really capitalism. It is people being cheap and not understanding the value of art. And I've seen people have a really good comebacks to this, where it's like, okay, well, why is this thing so expensive? I can buy it like for $5 at Walmart. And the comeback is, well, go to Walmart then, bitch. If you're going to buy it at Walmart, you would have bought it at Walmart already then. They'll always try to scheme you and scam you out of whatever, because they want the art, but they don't really want to pay for it. It's one of those things that people don't want to pay for, right? It's kind of a thing where like, oh man, paying for art is such a waste of money. They should just do it for free, Or don't you love some of the comebacks are like, don't you love? I thought you love being an artist. Like, why are you charging for it? You should just want to do it for free. It's so wrong that you're charging for doing something you love. Right? You should be thanking me for asking art from you. It's like that mindset. So people are just really entitled to your labor. They're really entitled. No one to pay. That's communism, though. That's not capitalism. All right. I saw the story of a guy who makes like hen, or a girl, maybe, or maybe it's a woman. I don't know. I just read the story, but it was like this person does hand knitted quilts. That's the whole idea. It's a very like traditional methods, hand knitted quilts, homemade, and they charge like a couple $100 for them because of the labor and everything involved. And the person's like, well, I can just buy a quilt from Walmart. And it's like, well, go to Walmart then. The thing is, you came to me because you didn't want the thing from Walmart. You wanted something unique. You wanted the artistic vision. You wanted the passion, the art, not just some mass-produced swill from Walmart. Right, that's kind of it. So, but they will bully you. They try to bully you into thinking that your art is worthless and try to get you down to almost nothing, just giving it away. I go, well, I'll give you some. I'll give your art some. What was it? Exposure. Yeah, it's exposure. That's kind of it. A lot of artists die from exposure. Like, bro, I have like 200,000 followers on Instagram. I'll post your art. Just give it to me for free, and I'll post it to all my 200,000 followers, and it'll be a good deal for both of us. So you do it for exposure, and it'll be fine. And so some artists were like, "Oh yeah, well I'll do it." Yeah, well, I mean, people are going to see your art anyway. Yeah, expose my art, and then also pay me money. You don't want to be an artist that dies from exposure.
That having a business focusing on marketing and being a content creator actively detracts from your ability to be a real artist or a real writer. There's going to be a bit of a predicament that arises. And it's this clashing that makes it pretty fucking difficult to determine anything concrete about whether someone you simply perceive online is a real writer or artist. I think this is kind of the crux of the issue, because people are so focused on essentially an unanswerable question that it distracts from genuine criticism of the text. And I think that's what my patron is getting at here in this comment. What readers should be focusing on actually is what the text is doing unsuccessfully, why it's ineffective, and what viral tropes or trends it's chasing without an acknowledgement or appreciation for the rich history of the craft that it's working in. Not to bring in my friend friend Roland for yet another video. But can we focus on the literary and dialogic state of the text right now? Instead of an author's writerness. If you're a writer truly, you're going to care about not only its creative expression, but its craft.
Yes, I think that's pretty good. There we go, chat. All right, let's look at the switch over to Loreslop real quick. See what this is about. That's pretty interesting. I think it came down to it's called capitalism's fault. It's capitalism that's the crushing down the artist. Anyway, here we go, chat. Loreslop. Let's check this out.
Epic new world building project. And as it say, lore, dude. The lore is so awesome. There's so much lore. But how's the story? The story? Yeah, it's amazing. There was this ancient kingdom, and then there was a war 9,000 years ago. And then the fire which betrayed the Black Queen. And then the forbidden bloodline got sealed inside the Gunner's crystal. No.
Yeah, this isn't story. This is lore. And they might seem very similar, right? This might seem very similar. Oh yeah, the 9,000 years ago, the Dark Queen portrayed the Fire Queen. That sounds like a story. It's not. It's lore. The story of the story of the book is okay, your main character is doing what exactly? And why?
I mean the story. It's incredible, dude. What do you mean? There's so much lore. I'm just gooning over this lore. I'm lore gooning, dude. And that's the problem. A lot of people do not want a story anymore. They want a fictional Wikipedia page. They want maps, timelines, factions, because they consume medias, hopefully unproblematic ones from video essays, and not like those epic ones that Shredded Nerd makes. I mean the lame ones with some dude with a mustache and mullet holding a lapel mic over a green screen. This is the lore of Baldy's Ballsack and its crossover with performative males. The dark history of Paw Patrol creepypastas, and it's 9 hours long. Somehow. But the people who are obsessed with lore want bullshit names with apostrophes in them. And I get it, lore can be fun. But lore is not story, and a lot of writers are getting lazy about that. They seem to think that telling a story is like filling out a Wikipedia page. Lore is background. Story is what actually happens, especially...
Yes. So yeah, that's the big distinction. Lore is the war, the old War of the Ring or whatever. Was it 2,000 years ago, when Sauron rose and we beat him with the last alliance of elves and humans. That's not a story. That is lore, right? The story is about Frodo going on this great journey, right? It seems similar, but it's not. They're very different.
In games, story is what you engage with. Story is a person wanting something. Story is a choice. Story is conflict. Story is action. It's a character changing or refusing to change or being destroyed because they can't change, which I guess is a change, really. Lore, background information about your setting, it can support that, but it cannot replace it. And right now, a lot of writers seem to think depth means more backstory, more ancient wars, more proper nouns. More gods, more timelines, more homework to do. That's not depth, that's just stuff. It's content. It's Loreslop. Or to use the proper medical verbiage, lore gooning. Now, I'm not saying every story should take place on a blank room where a man called John has a feeling. Just any random feeling. Setting matters, history matters, culture matters. A good world can make a story feel alive, but only if that world affects the story, or the story affects the world. Hopefully both. Sometimes your ancient war does not affect what the characters want, what they fear, what they choose, what happens next. If that's the case, then I don't care. It's trivia, and trivia is not drama. The best test is simple. Take away the lore. What is left? Do you have characters and conflicts? And do you care about what happens next? If the answer is no, then the lore was not the pillar upon which the firmament of the story is constructed. It was a veil obscuring the fact that there wasn't a story at all. I have a ton of examples to go over, but let's start with games that don't need lore at all. Minecraft. Yeah, obviously. Apparently it's...
Minecraft has a lot of stuff in it, but not really lore as far as I know. It's kind of like its lore is kind of built by MatPat. He just kind of connecting strings, connecting things together, connecting elements. It was kind of made by MatPat, or you could say that the lore of Minecraft essentially is the world building of the world itself, like what you see in the world. It was called the scenery storytelling. Same thing. Elden Ring has something very similar, although Minecraft does not have what Elden Ring has, which is items that tell you some of the backstory and give you some seeds to like finding out what the overarching story actually was. Like you have to read the backstory of some items to know that Godric the Grafted was a scared coward who disguised himself as a woman during the siege of Lindell, I think, and then fled to his own place so they could start grafting himself because he was a weak guy and he wanted to graft power onto himself to become stronger, so he become Elden Lord. But he was a coward. That's kind of why you find that item that disguises you in his place, because he used that to disguise himself as a woman to escape.
Got these stories with ancient builders now. It did not need some hidden civilization. It did not need a grand story. You don't need to know where creepers come from. If anything, the story, the lore of the actual development itself, that is the story. That's the more interesting story, how Minecraft came to be. The actual in-game setting, like who cares about that? It's just blocks. You punch a tree and build a dirt house. And then you just upgrade your base. That's the whole story. The original ending was basically kind of a joke. It was this weird abstract thing. It was basically Notch telling you to get a life, which is a bit rich coming from an overweight computer programmer. But that was still fine. That wasn't that in your face, and it almost felt like a bit of a joke at the time. Like it was almost making fun of the fact that people wanted some big epic RPG story, and he just added a dimension called the end. But honestly, it's fine if Minecraft doesn't have a story, because not everything needs lore. This problem of Loreslop, it gets worse when companies try to start with the universe before even having an actual story. Like the Mummy reboot, or Rebel Moon, or After Earth. These things do not feel...
Oh man, Rebel Moon, that was awful.
...like stories. They feel like pitch decks. You can almost hear someone in a meeting saying, "This will be our universe." I'm like, okay, but can it be a movie first? Can I like
yeah, what's the story of the movie actually? Well, it's cool, bro, because it has this and this and this. Like, no, it's what's the story actually?
Single character first? Do you have an interesting hero or villain or nothing like that? Does the main conflict make sense? With the Mummy, they called that the Dark Universe. They were definitely putting the cart before the horse with that one. It's like going fishing with a whole freezer and no...
And the expanding universe thing has really ruined some of these stories and writers, because like they have to go in, kind of like laying the groundwork. They want to go in laying the groundwork for like, doing Marvel did, as laying the groundwork for this gigantic potential universe, right? But Marvel kind of like let go. Marvel kind of stepped back in the beginning and it was like, okay, here's Captain America's movie. Here's Iron Man's movie. Here's Thor's movie. Right? And it kind of, in each one of those, like the initial movies are the story of the character, right? There's no like might be a little funny background nuggets or something like that, but they're not wasting a bunch of pages or wasting a bunch of time trying to set up other things outside of the narrative that, for no reason at all. That's why a lot like it's the after credits thing where we got to see Thor's hammer, for example, right? Or it's the after credits thing where we see Nick Fury suddenly show up and recruit Captain America into the Avengers. That was cool. We allow the story to play out first, and then we get the hints of a larger expanding universe. That's what's going on. But yeah, you can't really put that first. So like you have Loreslop, you got this whole thing about I got to make a big interconnected universe, and so I got to make sure I set up all this stuff and make sure that I lay the groundwork that it can be potentially a larger universe, which kind of in the wrong hands can lead you astray in terms of story, where you kind of fill the story full of other crap, so that little hint, little nod towards, oh, this guy exists, this guy exists, this guy exists. There's this potential possibility. You kind of want to, you can have that stuff, but put in the background. All right, you need to remain focused on the story and pour into the main character.
Right. It was certainly dark, all right. Dark, and that was absent of kind of any follow-ups. But here's the thing. You cannot start at the top. You cannot start with a cinematic universe. It's the suits and executives who want to do that because they saw how lucrative the Marvel universe was. But the issue is that had decades of content going into it. With these new films, they're planning spin-offs before they even have the main event. You cannot start with the lore Bible. You cannot start with expand.
Yeah, the advantage Marvel Universe had going into it was that a lot of people knew about Thor and Captain America just even by passing. They might not know all the lore behind these characters, but they knew about these characters: Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Some people say that they weren't like necessarily the biggest characters, but a lot of people knew about them. So, they were sellable on that level. Yeah, Protoss Dragoon, I have returned. Like, then you're like, what? What do you mean return? They don't really give you too much lore in the beginning with the Dragoon, I think. It's just kind of like you learn later that it's like a warrior that fell in battle and was placed inside of a mechanical body so he can continue his war. You read that in like the lore that comes with the book that comes with the game, and later on in the I think the first campaign, what is his name, Phoenix or something like that, gets killed, and then he comes back as a Dragoon. And you're like, oh, that's what Dragoons do. So it's not a big deal. It's just kind of like, oh, he's back in a Dragoon. And if you didn't look into the backstory of the lore or anything, you can kind of guess that, oh, that's what Dragoons are. They're kind of like fallen warriors that come back in like these weird bio bodies.
Standard canon. There's a very important quote from a very good book on this. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man who built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and bare upon his house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. You have no longevity without the foundation. Build your house upon the rock, a solid, self-contained story with characters people care about. Then you can expand. It was entertaining when you see these images of the world of Will Smith's After Earth. They planned a whole media franchise around this. Bright may well be my Star Wars. Rebel Moon was meant to be Zack Snyder's Star Wars. He forgot to make a good movie first. Bonnie Ross wanted to be the George Lucas of Halo. Newsflash, buddy.
Wait a minute.
These images of the world of Will Smith's After Earth. They planned a whole media franchise around this. Bright
was your Star Wars. I come to slowly realize that Bright, my new script, if made well, could potentially be my Star Wars. Bright, okay.
May well be my Star Wars. Rebel Moon was meant to be Zack Snyder's Star Wars. He forgot to make a good movie first. Bonnie Ross wanted to be the George Lucas of Halo. Newsflash, buddy. George Lucas created Star Wars. Halo had already been created when you...
He didn't make Halo. He just kind of took it over and ruined it.
Took over. The Order 1886 is...
Also, this thing is for men. What the hell are you doing in the driver's seat? This is a story for men, not just any men, but like like I know a lot of country guys and like gun collectors, right wingers, like Halo. What is this woman doing at the head of it? It's like, oh yeah, we got this new guy coming in to head up Twilight. Right? It's like, it's not really a man's thing. This is not really a woman's thing. Why is a woman at the head of it? What doesn't make any sense?
Newsflash, buddy. George Lucas.
Aren't they all about like, you shouldn't have any opinions as a man on XYZ franchise because it's not made for you? Well, it's not made for women. So how come this is allowed?
It's created Star Wars. Halo had already been created when you took over. The Order...
Right? So what I'm thinking of is that terrible movie that got destroyed by the critics, where it's like the modern day, but it had orcs and stuff like that, and the orcs and everything were kind of punished for siding with the evil Dark Lord. And so it's like Will Smith partnering as a cop with this orc, I guess. And then the orcs are discriminated against because they're unfairly discriminated against because, they made a mistake and decided with the Dark Lord. Is that the one he's talking about?
1886 is like the game version of putting the cart before the horse. So much.
Like, what if they got Zack Snyder to head Twilight? I don't think a lot of people will be fans of that. Or what if they came up with She-Ra and like the guy who's writing it and directing it is Zack Snyder?
Effort went into the setting, alternate history, werewolves, knights, steampunk guns. It made me want to go outside in my steampunk cosplay with like a cog-shaped monocle and do a little jig to some bendy electro song. This was like the British version of Lumbersexuals. It was Sweeney Todd Victorian London where everyone looks like they smell of salty milk and coins.
It's like Sweeney Todd is London if everyone was a vampire, I think. If the vampires won the war, it's like this is kind of what it would look like.
They smell of salty milk and coins. And there's werewolf shit in the Thames. And then the game itself is just not there. Generic third-person non-game with balked enemies. Classic Sony movie game that's just garbage. Work on the bones first. Story, characters, levels, conflict. And in the case of a game, gameplay. The broader world comes after. Alien Covenant and Prometheus have a similar disease. Now, there's obviously two camps that things are going into. One type of Loreslop are the ones that put the cart before the horse. They invest in the setting first and foremost far too early. But with things like the Minecraft lore and this alien lore that I'm about to talk about, it's more like they did have an existing property and then they tried to build upon that. But when they tried to build all this lore, they got far too lost in the details and they lost sight of what made the original good. Now, Alien, that was suspense. It was horror, a simple, strong premise. People trapped with something they do not understand. You see things like the space jockey, and it is incomprehensible, a bit like a Woa Jack. It makes you feel like a Victorian child. You see all these structures designed by H.R. Giger, and you get the sense that they were used for some kind of purpose, but it's not exactly clear what. That's the appeal. That's the charm. It is alien, after all. It should feel alien. Then later it becomes lore about engineers and the creation of humanity and androids and where the aliens came from. But did we need that? Like, how does that suit the setting of Alien, one full of mystery? Did explaining the monster make it scarier? It's the exact opposite, actually. Sometimes the mystery is the point. Sometimes answering the question makes things smaller. And now we have to get to the big one. And this might be the most contentious point. Dark Souls. Yes, Dark Souls. It's not the worst version of Loreslop, but it is the thing that made Loreslop tempting. Dark Souls is known for its great gameplay, its combat loop built upon nailing simple mechanics which build upon each other in
Well, yeah, Dark Souls and Elden Ring, because you kind of want to dive deep into the surrounding lore, and it's pretty awesome. I like it for that. But the gameplay and the story that you are given are pretty cool. Like in Dark Souls, you want to reignite the fire. And at the end, you're like, okay, well, do I want to reignite the fire? Because reigniting the fire means I burn myself alive. Or do I want to allow the age of darkness to return? In Elden Ring, it's like you want to become Elden Lord. It's pretty easy. It's a pretty simple story. You're on a journey to become the Elden Lord. And then along the way, you're allowed to go through the lore and learn about the story and learn about the backstory and encounter all these like demigods and things. It's pretty awesome. But you're kind of spurned on, you're kind of encouraged along with the one motivation, the one main overarching goal of becoming Elden Lord. It's pretty good.
And increasingly complex ways. It's clever level design that loops back on itself. It's beautiful art and world, and it's incredible storytelling and lore, vaunted by gaming press and internet personalities alike. But one of these things is not like the other, because the story of Dark Souls simply isn't very good. I know what it's going for. As The Guardian said about Miyazaki, the creator of Dark Souls, he had to borrow whatever he could find in the library. That's why he ended up with works beyond his reading capabilities. Often he'd reach passages of text he couldn't understand, and so would allow his imagination to fill in the blanks, using the accompanying illustrations. In this way, he felt he was co-writing the fiction alongside its original author. Dark Souls barely has characters. It barely has a plot. It barely has dialogue. Most characters appear at points in the map, say 3 vague sentences, laugh like they're trapped in a cupboard, and then disappear, to be seen at some random point later, to do basically the same thing. They all have the same arc. Oh, I'm going to lose hope. And then they lose hope. There's no back and forth with them. You don't talk or have a
It's kind of true. They all have like dark endings. Even like in Elden Ring, this happens.
Character arc with them. No real relationship. No central conflict that feels personal. It's all just kind of one theme, which is that they slowly lose hope over time. I've heard people call Book of the New Sun the Dark Souls of books. That is not a good comparison. Book of the New Sun has characters. It has a narrator and quite extensive dialogue. It has a lot of interrelated characters. It has a plot.
I think Elden Ring might be better in this regard because you get a companion, you get a little mount, you get torrent and stuff. You get to know some of these characters because you can talk with them at the round table hold. You can get quests from them and stuff. My favorite quest is the Millicent quest. I always make sure to do that when in any run I do on Elden Ring.
You follow. It is not just random NPCs appearing from behind a wall to whisper.
I don't think you would call it Loreslop if it's used effectively. I think it's a difference here. Like the Loreslop is just everyone is obsessed with lore, as opposed to using the lore, developing the lore, and then giving the reader enough lore as needed by the story. The story should come first.
Zanzibar, forgive me, before dying. And I know whenever the Zanzibar tweet gets mentioned, people say it's by a writer of Borderlands 3. But here's the thing. Shouldn't a Borderlands writer know all about bad writing? I mean, they live it firsthand. Like recognizes like, you know? A bad writer can sniff out bad writing anywhere. He even said in a follow-up tweet that he actually likes Dark Souls' story. So, you know, maybe Dark Souls inspired Borderlands 3. They're two peas in a pod. But putting that aside, the Book of the New Sun comparison, although I said it's not a great comparison, there are at least a couple ways that it is kind of apt. It's set in a dying world where the main character is in one of a million timelines to restore the symbolic light source and bring forth an age of glory and symbolic rebirth, where they'll become a kind of messiah. The world around you isn't immediately obvious. You're in the ruins of a greater civilization. The story is more archaeology than drama. This applies for both Book of the New Sun and Dark Souls. You're digging through a dead world trying to figure out what happened, and that can be satisfying. For Book of the New Sun, it rewards rereads. You figure out what actually happens on the second, third, fourth time around. There's so much symbolism, so many things that are described where once they click, it makes so much sense. For Dark Souls, it creates community, creates theory videos, it creates the feeling of discovery.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, Borderlands 2 is really good. I like Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. Borderlands 3, on the other hand, really bad. It's still kind of fun to run around and shoot things, but the story is like, what the hell is the story? Like everyone, all of a sudden, every prominent female character has been a siren the whole time. This is nonsense. It's kind of retarded.
But in Dark Souls, the story is very much optional. In a lot of
the main villains feel like they should just be like Act 1 villains. Like the main villains are like these streamer twins who do a lot of stuff, but they're not nearly Handsome Jack level. They kind of feel like Act 1 villains that were able to be the main villains of the entire game. And they should be people working for the larger villain, but they're not. They are the larger villains. And it's really a letdown.
Is lore heavy.
Everyone feels so lifeless in the game. Like before, everyone kind of like they had like things to say. They felt like people almost. But you go to Marcus, he just repeats the same lines to you. Like it doesn't feel like there's any life in the characters of the game, even if you've met them in the other games before.
Worlds. The most interesting events happened before you arrived. There was a betrayal, there was a war, there was a fall. Okay, can I see it? No. Can I meet those people? No. Can I have a real relationship with anyone connected to it? Not really. Can I read a paragraph about it in a menu? Yes. Cool. That's not the same thing. They might also even appear as a boss that I can kill. They might even say like 1 or 2 sentences that relate to something you might have read in an item description. That's fantastic. See, that's a callback. That's a reference. But you're meant to have those things as a supplement to your story. That's not the story in and of itself. In Book of the New Sun, there is background. The world, which, you keeps filling in the blanks the more you engage with it. But it also has the main story and plot for your first read through. It also has the characters that you engage with and get to know well. Main characters who the protagonist connects with and has direct emotional investment in. You encounter an oddball cast of characters. And that's where the comparison splits. Because characters who die in the beginning remain relevant for the entire novel and come back in unexpected ways to remain important. Characters who seem like they're just side characters for a time period, and they're treated like that at the time and for a while after, end up becoming important again in unexpected ways. There are a bunch of characters who the protagonist interacts with who form a significant puzzle piece in the world. And you might say, well, that's not a fair comparison. One is a book. You expect a lot of words. You can get a lot more story and a lot more characterization in. It's a lot harder.
Well, the core of when I buy Dark Souls and play it, I want to fight bad guys and conquer bosses. When I buy a book, the focus needs to be the story, the narrative. Otherwise, it's not really going to be a good book. There has to be a story by necessity.
But to put words in a game in a compelling way, you need voice acting, you need the player to discover it, you need to tie it in with the gameplay, right? You can't just have endless dialogue. After all, you, Mr. Nerd, are not fond of movie games. And that's true, but there are games that tell a good story with compelling characters and tell them in a way that suits a video game. Maybe not near the level of Book of the New Sun, but pretty great writing does exist. I'm not needlessly cynical. The Witcher 3 was decently cutscene heavy, but not Metal Gear levels of excess. Not like Death Stranding. Morrowind was great. It's about discovering a world, and it was very world heavy, world forward. But again, you still interact with the characters often. Portal 2 is a great example of a tight, fairly self-contained story with very entertaining characters. So yeah, games, they can tell stories and they can have characters. You're not so limited by the medium that you can't do anything. But anyway, let's look more at the characters in Dark Souls. The most famous one is probably Solaire, and people love him. He's probably the most memorable character, but he has like 6 minutes of dialogue. His story is basically, I'm hopeful, I'm looking for the sun, I'm still hopeful, oh no, I failed, despair. And that's something, it's not much, it's just thin. He has so little characterization. He was meant to be like a ray of hope, a ray of joy, and then that got snuffed out. And it's the same thing that happens with every other character. There aren't really any character interactions to pull you through. Nobody you're personally invested in. You're not really pushed to engage with it. You're not rewarded in a strong emotional way for engaging with it. See, I guess the game is hoping you'll be curious about them through fragments. Here's the thing. Mystery, it isn't that hard. So many stories can do mystery. They have lore entries and item descriptions and books, and then the world that fills those details in. In Dark Souls, there's kind of nothing above that. There's nothing really besides, it gives the story of some character who might appear as a boss. It's like you're just reading the boss's bio. You may as well be doing that. So yeah, the characters are thin, and the plot is also extremely thin. You don't actually learn more about the world from beginning to end. The opening cutscene just...
You're gonna have to do the work to know the story and lore of Dark Souls. It doesn't directly tell you everything. It kind of gives you hints, like kind of gets you wondering, like, what's the backstory of this guy or this boss or this castle or whatever, but it doesn't really tell you directly. You kind of have to do the footwork to really get the full picture.
Dumps a bunch of random lore on you that you don't have any reason to care about, and then tells you the entire premise of the game. Kill this dude to relink the fire. And there are also these monsters you have to go and kill because they're in the bad guy team. We're keeping humans cursed. And then...
And see, Cal928, there's the $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. It says, I love when he references Book of the New Sun because I edited his video on that book. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, I never heard of it before, but it looks kind of interesting.
And you just go and do that. You kill the monsters exactly as it says. Story-wise, nothing progresses between the beginning of the game and you killing the 4 main bosses and the end of the game. That's it. That's the entire story beat. And the ending to the game, it's just exactly what it told you in the beginning. You relight the fire, or you can choose not to, and it makes no difference either way. You just played through a whole long-ass game to make you feel like some odyssey happened, but in reality, there was no character or plot development up until the ending. There was no character growth. See, the game could have dumped you into the kiln right after the first cutscene, and you would still basically know all the plot there is in the world. You would know you need to kill this guy to relink the fire. That's it. There is no mystery. It just tells you everything about the world in the opening cutscene. That's everything you need to know. There's no finding out, no discovery. It just tells you everything and hopes you feel connected to the pointless paraphernalia that does not progress the story in any way in item descriptions that it throws at you. Now compare that to a game that actually did do mystery well. Look at Outer Wilds. That's another game where the objective is to piece together the mysterious world and what happened in the world. But the Outer Wilds actually has a well-made story. Like any good mystery, in the beginning, you start out knowing nothing. See, when you get to Anor Londo, You already know what happened here. You know that they were in the age of light and they declined or whatever, like it said at the start. So what else?
It's kind of like you get to know the story, and then you kind of get to experience this. You kind of follow up in that story's wake. It's kind of interesting because it's kind of the same feeling of going to Gettysburg or something like that, right? It's kind of like you know what happened here, but it's interesting to look at the area and kind of feel the energy of your surroundings. Like there's a great battle that happened here. It's kind of cool to visit.
Else is there to find out about Anor Londo? In Outer Wilds, you wake up in the world, you discover your home planet and home people. They are nice enough. This is like your tutorial area, very classic small town style story opening, and it gives you at least some reason to care. It gives you some actual characters, you know, even if it's just basic motivation, and then you're let loose into the world to discover it on your own, including other characters who have a connection to yours. They're from your home planet and they've gone out there, and you can discover more and more through them. There's almost a kind of discourse, a dialogue when you discover more things, and then you go to these other explorers and you talk about your discoveries, you learn more. It fills in the characters, it fills in the world, and it adds directly to your progression of the story. So you have these characters who you can kind of build a connection with. And then, spoilers, skip ahead to this point to avoid them. You're given the real reason to care as the solar system blows up after a timer. And then it's up to you to figure out why this is happening and stop it. You slowly piece together all of the back.
And so Record Breaker says, Elden Ring has so much lore to figure out. I let YouTubers do the piecing together for me. That makes sense. No one with employment will take the time to figure it out unless they're obsessed with it. Yeah, that's kind of what I do too. I kind of have, I kind of like try to figure it out for myself, and then watch YouTubers and everything to see like, okay, what does it actually mean? What did I miss? And it's pretty cool to see because it's not always one for one. Like not everyone has like the same exact interpretation. So it's pretty. I think it's pretty cool. I want to do something like that for Silent Hill F because I'm almost done with it. You have to play through it 3 times, so I do want to go over that in a video. I think it'll be kind of fun.
Background of the world, the history, and it gives you a reason to actually read every message, which is something so few games do. You have to engage with the world and figure out what went on. That's what's great about this game. It is a genuine mystery in the true sense, and the puzzles all tie into that. This is a good example for how game stories should be told. But then back to Dark Souls, someone might say, no bro, you don't get it. You have to read the item description on Zanzibar's underwear. What you're doing here is making me do the work. Specifically, the work of giving myself a reason to care about who these monsters that I'm killing are. No game, you've got it backwards. You're meant to make me care about Zanzibar. I'm not meant to make myself care. And that should drive me to want to find out about his backstory, not the other way around. I shouldn't have to find a reason to care. Dark Souls does not have characters. It has Wikipedia pages. It's like if every character in Star Wars was Boba Fett or Glup Shido. Oh, wait, what? They actually did that? Okay, well, that's besides the point. So, thin plot, thin characters, no driving action or personal investment in the world. Even the item description thing is quite bad as a point of story delivery. I just want the cool axe so I can kill bigger, badder enemies. I guess you'll throw in some lore like a Minty's wrapper to try and trick me into reading it. But why would that information be attached to an item? Is it literally written on the sword? This is just so fucking gamey. It's a completely contrived game style of plot delivery. It's not immersive at all. Now you see a book or an audio log. A character would have been so much better to deliver this lore. And you might say, nerd, this is nitpicking, which is a fair response if we were talking about GTA or Fortnite or other associated slop for unthinking golems. But this game, Dark Souls, is a game specifically praised for its story, the delivery of its story, and its attention to detail. How then, dear Strawman, do you justify persecuting me for judging the game's details? I'm gonna point out the details, and this detail, item descriptions to deliver lore, I don't think it works. And let's look at the art as well. It looks good, but it isn't super inspired. It's just a bunch of cool European buildings. especially the most memorable area in the game, the Anor
They are really cool looking.
Londo Cathedral. Very, very strongly inspired by the Duomo in Milan. But what thought went into its creation besides, this looks cool, let's just copy it? Like, why is the cathedral laid out like that? Real life cathedrals, like the one this one is aping, had a lot of thought put into them. Often, cathedrals would have the two arms with the two chapels in them pointing out from the center. That represents the cross when viewed from above. The apse would be facing east to represent Jesus' return, because that's where the sun rises. This is the kind of thought medieval and Renaissance architects put into their work. Every detail mattered. They thought about this stuff. Everything was considered. Is that the case here? Well, clearly not. And in a game where the idea is exploring the world, maybe when you actually explore the world, it should have a bit more thought and detail put into it, a bit more logic, and not just selecting random stuff that looks cool. And
it kind of feels like he's really wanting to make a video on Dark Souls. That's what it feels like.
Mind you, it's actually fine if you just take a historical building and recreate it because it's cool. That's great. That's a normal and cool thing to do if you're playing a Crow Team game. But people don't praise the Talos Principle or Serious Sam for the genius of its environments and worlds, now do they? They don't praise the incredible attention to detail and world building present in the environments, in the art, in the models. No, it's kind of understood when you play their games that they use these environments because, well, you like the art. And that's enough. Dark Souls is a game where the entire point of the story, it's about figuring out the world, about digging deep into the environment.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the actual big draws of Dark Souls, I think. And same thing with Elden Ring. Like, it's pretty cool, it's really fun to go in there and start fighting big giant bosses and everything, but also just as fun kind of figuring out like what the hell happened. What's the real truth behind all of this?
Discovering the world. But the world is just various different visual features the artist.
At the beginning of the cinematic, it tells you that, oh yeah, what's his name? Godwin? I forgot what his name is. But the main guy, he created the Age of Fire, right? And it's pretty cool. Like, oh, this is the guy that made the Age of Fire, and he brought us out from the dark. And then as you go along, you discover the fact that he did so out of cowardice, and the Age of Darkness was not necessarily a bad thing. He was just afraid of the dark, to the point where he became the first Lord of Cinder, and then forever guarded the fire so it won't go out. Right? That's kind of the thing. It's like the cinematic tells you one thing, and then you uncover the truth behind all of it. That's not so cut and dry, and you figure out that there's some major drama between the characters and the lords and the monsters, and there's some interesting backstory there. It's pretty cool. It's just, you're told one thing on the surface level, and then you kind of dig deeper and uncover some weird twisted truths. Same thing with Elden Ring. It's pretty cool stuff. Like, Marika is the great queen, but then you figure out that she was like a psycho. She conquered the world essentially in a crusade so that everyone will bend to the will of the greater will. And see, Ben Parker says, LD, hearing all this talk about the world has me wanting to hear someone say the earth in Japanglish. Could you do the honors? But I mean, the earth. Is that right? Is the earth? I don't know.
Thought were cool, thrown together slapdash. Just random European styles plonked next to each other. At once it's German, at once it's French, at once it's English. No rhyme or reason besides, oh, this looks cool. And the reason why the example of Dark Souls really annoys me is that a lot of games learnt the wrong lesson. Again, it has great combat, great gameplay, and level design. I'm not just going to be contrarian and hate on that. I'm not disputing that part, but the glazing absolutely shouldn't carry over to the story. A lot of other games looked at Dark Souls and thought, let's do item descriptions. Let's just be too lazy to tell a fucking story. And when Dark Souls does it, people glaze it to hell. When other games do it, they get called lazy. Thing Japan syndrome, which brings us to...
I don't think that's true. I think Dark Souls kind of leads you into it because you're given one story, and then you kind of start getting item descriptions that kind of lead you down another path. Like, oh, you're uncovering truth. I think that's kind of the real motivation behind, like, you're uncovering truth behind what you've been told, because the beginning cinematic, it's giving like a narration, right? And the narration is kind of like a story. It kind of feels like a story that's been passed down for generations. Like, long ago, he created the age of fire. That's what it feels like. And then you're going into the world of Dark Souls, and you're uncovering that there's a lot more to it than just what you're told with the old story. It really does feel like you've been told the story your whole life, and you're kind of entering the world of that story, and then you're kind of figuring out that, okay, the story is technically true, but it's not the whole thing that happened. There's so many more things that happened, and you're kind of uncovering it by discovering relics with, like, item descriptions and things. But anyway, chat. Anyway, I think that's pretty good for today. Went through some cool stuff. We'll dive deep into more of it tomorrow. But let's go ahead and head to streaming chat. And we definitely did make Pillarman today. Definitely we made it because of the boost from yesterday and the generosity of everyone in chat today. We made it to Pillarman and a half, technically speaking. And so we have a good head start for tomorrow. All right, chat. Well, let's go. So lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer. And Pillarman in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ay, 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 ay.
Oh, yes, best chat. Thank you much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you much, everyone, for your generosity. We have the good yin gods of fitness here to help us along our journey. It's a chat. All right. Hopefully, sign okay after that clip. But let's see. It's a make sure everything's good to go. As Ricardo just said, I've never played the Dark Souls games, not because I wasn't interested, but because I was too busy and broke to invest in them. Makes sense. That makes sense. All right, chat. What's this? Stellar. Welcome to adulthood. You get mad when they rearrange the grocery store now. This is true. Like, why would you rearrange it? It's dumb. What's this? Hours slept 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. How I see piracy based on company behavior. Let's see. Yeah, it's okay. EA, Adobe, Nintendo. Not okay. Steam, Indie Games, Reaper. And see, when you fight capitalists, but they make merch out of the best thing that capitalists ever did is like, okay, you people like the communist stuff. We're going to sell a bunch of communist merch. Another win for capitalism. Leak from the game design doc for the new God of War game. Well, that just happened. It's a gelatinous cube. Is that I saw him in like a little pipe thing. It is the world that's obviously wrong. How do I world build? Give it this. Step 1, your kink, your political power fantasy, esoteric magic system, character optional. Let's see. I hate it when jokes. I hate it when Hitler steals my Nutella. Why is the second option? How often does it happen? Let's see. What joke would you like tonight? We can read anything except cow tools. No cow tools tonight. We've read that joke a million times. I want cow tools. Look, you know how the joke goes. You've memorized the whole thing. It's the same joke every day. I want cow tools. And then there it is, cow tools. And see, my ass is haunted by the gay unicorn colonel. What is the Chuck Tingle? This is a real book. I feel like it's a real book. Like, of course it is. And see, not pounded by anything. There's gotta write all this stuff down. I paid an editor $500 to edit my novel. Mine cost $3,000. My editor asked for $20,000. You guys pay your editors? What idiot wrote this? Oh, I did. If you are what you eat, Your Honor, my client is as innocent as a child. That's probably the best defense. Let's see. If you keep sleep at FazeCon, you are doing it right. What's this? How is this not a pyramid scheme? All right, let me explain again. Phil has recruited me and another guy. Now I think they call. Let's see. It's a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. Look at the reverse funnel system. Turn it upside down. Oh shit. All right, you've been duped, suckers. Let's see. Rights racist in the Death Note. Taylor Swift, what is happening to my minions? Happy Thanksgiving. Let's see. My 5 horsemen of censorship. Let's see. What's this? KFC is launching a new chicken pizza hybrid called Cheesa. That could be interesting. Sonic, Shadow. This is pretty accurate, I think. Pretty accurate, the archetype. Quality over quantity. That's what people tend to want. They want the quality. Oh my god, who the hell cares? All right, so first I draw this really detailed head, and then I erase a few bits, and I get a perfect circle. More like belongs to the trash. Ha! Okay, I show it's funny. Listen, fam, we don't care. On bro, her ass was like this fat. Let's see. Abuser or genius. Unfortunately, the scar did give him an aura Ozai cooked a little. This is he cooked a little. He cooked quite a bit, like part of his face. And see, praise the sun. And there's a Godric the Grafted. And see here, Chad. Oh, this is pretty cool actually. It's pretty badass. And see, this item is so freaking useless. Oh my gosh, dude! But I bet I'll never use this shit again. But you can use it here. This is very true. It's very true. The Queen America. There's like I think a bunch of fan artists made America like extra thick, and the people who made Elden Ring adopted it as canon. I think that's what happened. Let's see. Ben Barker says, it's time to call the stream. Me, stream. Oh, stream. Here's stream. Good stream. Who's the best chat? But anyway. We're on close stream for today. Thank you much everyone joining me. Thank you much best chat for always being best chat. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See you again, of course, next time.
On a cold winter morning in the time before the light, in flames of death's eternal reign, we ride towards the fight. When the darkness has fallen down and the times are tough, alright, the sound of evil laughter falls around the world tonight. Couldn't keep it in all